aware of the fact that they need this ball game to gain some momentum going into the final half of their season.
Iowa running game was just outstanding last week. Harmon and Gill combined for over 300 yards. Northwestern's worried about that running game of the Hawks.
Yeah, they are. Even though with the loss of Jim Bobbitt, who was the Wildcats' best defensive player, Coach Greenfield, this is his best defensive unit he's had at Northwestern. So I'd look to see him stunned in an effort to get Chuck Long to put the ball in the air.
Chuck Long, the outstanding quarterback for the Hawks, but Northwestern has a good one in Sandy Schwab.
Sandy Schwab has 83 Northwestern records, so any quarterback that throws that well can't be all bad.
Can Northwestern keep this game close?
Well, that's their whole game plan. They hope to keep Iowa honest on offense in an effort to give Sandy Schwab an effort to get the ball in the air.
All right, coming up, Northwestern and Iowa. Stay with us. We'll be back with the kickoff after this.
Dyke Stadium in Evanston, Illinois. A lot of black and gold here this afternoon to see the Hawkeyes take on the Northwestern Wildcats. Northwestern, no Keith Chappelle, is a team that hasn't been run over this year as they have been in past years. They are improving.
No, that's what they note as Coach Green brings the team up to respectability. Although they've had 4 losses this year, each loss has been a relatively close loss for Wildcat concerns. Gone are the days of them being blown out 61-0.
The Hawkeyes have won the coin toss. They will receive. Robert Smith and Ronnie Harmon typically deep for the Hawkeyes all season long. Robert Smith this year has been the man bringing the ball back a lot for the Hawks. He's been averaging 5.5 yards on punt returns, a little better on kickoffs. 25.3 for Robert Smith. Ronnie Harmon, the big play man, of course, for the Hawkeyes this year. Look for them to go to him a lot this year.
Yeah, Ronnie Harmon has displayed himself as the second-ranking all-purpose runner in the country.
And we are underway. The kick goes to Harmon in his end zone. He will touch it back, and the Hawkeyes will take over 1st and 10 at their 20-yard line.
Iowa takes over 1st and 10 at the Hawkeye 20-yard line.
Dyke Stadium holds about 49,000 people. The stands only about half full here today. They don't get as excited about Big Ten football here as they do other places. The officials for today's game: Clint Fortin, Ed Hassel, Jim Keogh, Hoffman, Otto Pulls, George Sullivan, and Bill Carroll. So the Hawks have it 1st and 10 at their 20-yard line. Bush, or rather Harmon and Gill in the backfield. Long will throw on 1st down. Gets it out to Ronnie Harmon past the 20, the 30. Harmon's got room down to the 36-yard line. Taken down by Keith Cruz, the All-American candidate at defensive tackle for the Wildcats. And the offensive backs there, you see it for the Hawks. Chuck Long, quarterback. Ronnie Harmon and Owen Gill in the backfield. Scott Helmerson, the wide. Bill Happel, Herb Wester, his first start last game. Bill Glass, the left guard, and Mark Sindlinger. Kelly O'Brien, Mike Haight, and the tight end captain of this team, Jonathan Hayes. 1st down for the Hawks, 1st and 10 again. Ball goes up the middle, this time to Gill. And he is stopped at about the 32-yard line. Robert Dirks came up to hit him out of the nose guard spot. The defensive backs for the Wildcats: Moyer, Bennett, Torkelson, filling in for the Bobbitt, who's out with a broken leg, and Darren Morgan. Brown, Gatewood, Charles Plant, and Scott Sanderson, that Wildcat secondary, along with Keith Cruz, Ted Karras, and Daryl Newell. 2nd and 10, no gain on that play. The pitch goes left to Harmon. Harmon across the 40, taken down to the 41-yard line. Mike Torkelson, the inside linebacker on the stop. Last week, Jim Bobbitt broke his leg into the season for him against Wisconsin. Jim Torkelson, the man filling in for him now.
Well, Jim Torkelson, Coach Greenfield, is an adequate backup. Bobbitt, of course, was one of the great defensive players in Northwestern history. A broken leg ending his career short, but they feel the linebacking corps is one of the strong points for the Wildcat defense.
Pick up a 5. It'll be 3rd and 5 for Iowa. Happel is split wide right. Chuck Long, the quarterback. Play action pass. Long dumps it out to Harmon. Harmon at the 40, spins. And down at the 43-yard line, Daryl Newell, the defensive tackle on the stop, and not enough for the 1st down.
The Wildcat defense did a good job that time of collapsing in on Harmon and not allowing him to get that ball and turn upfield.
Gary Costrobala in to punt for the Hawkeyes at his 30-yard line. Brent Whitley is back deep from Northwestern. The ball bounces at about the 15-yard line. Whitley has it and is knocked down. The ball is fumbled, and Iowa recovers the football at their 6-yard line.
Costrobala's punt is taken by number 4, Brett Whitley. His fumble recovered by
Brett Whitley makes a freshman mistake here. Here fielding this ball with no chance of running it black. We saw Sinnott was the first one there. Stripped the ball from him and gives Iowa excellent field position.
Craig Clark recovers the fumble. The Hawkeyes take advantage quickly of a Northwestern mistake. They'll have it 1st and goal at their 6-yard line.
Thank you. Iowa takes over 1st and goal from the
full house backfield. Sinnott,
line.
Gill, and Harmon in the backfield for the Hawkeyes. Double split in, tied in. The handoff goes to Harmon up the middle. Harmon down to the 4-yard line.
Number 31, Ronnie Harmon.
Ellery Bennett came up to make the hit, the outside linebacker for the Wildcats out of Detroit, Michigan. But the Hawks will have it at the 2-yard line.
That offensive line is coming off a great showing last week where they tallied more than 313 yards. With the confidence building, look for them to take it right to the heart of the Wildcat defense, which is their defensive line with Cruz and their other linemen up front.
2nd and goal. Eddie Polite in motion. The handoff goes again to Harmon over the top and in. Touchdown, Iowa.
Number 31, Ronnie Harmon carries for 2 yards and the Iowa touchdown.
This is what Iowa wants to do. They want to get off to a fast start and keep the ball rolling. Harmon goes right up over the middle. Strong surge by their offensive line there gives Iowa their first score. Ronnie Harmon picking up right off where he left last week in scoring 3 touchdowns, adds his first one for today.
Tommy Nickel will attempt the point after for the Hawkeyes.
Number 3, Tom Nickel will try the extra point for Iowa.
Mark Vlasic will hold, the backup quarterback. Extra point is up, and it is good. So the Iowa Hawkeyes, with just 12:06 left in the first quarter, go on top 7-0. And after that Northwestern defense stopped them, the key turnover again. This time goes to the Hawks' favor.
Well, this is what Coach Green said. His defense played well in converting the Hawkeyes and forcing them to punt. Their punt return team in that case, with Watley fielding that ball inside the 20-yard line and having it stripped from him, resulted in that offensive turnover. Iowa turned the play into 6 points, which any good football team will do. And this is what Northwestern fears of.
Enterprises, Systematics, Menson Tractor Repair, Caterpillar Tractor Company, and Pete's Pub. If you would like to organize a group outing to one of the 2 remaining home games, call 492-3205.
Soaring drive, time of possession, just 40 seconds, 2 plays, the length of the drive, 6 yards after the fumble, 2-yard run by Ronnie Harmon. What a day he had last Saturday against Illinois. 191 yards rushing, was named the Offensive Player of the Week in the Midwest.
A great honor for Harmon, but also an honor for an offensive line. That was the one question mark Iowa had going into the year, and as the year continues to progress, they continue to show fine performances by all their front linemen.
Number 4, Brett Whitley, and number 82, Curtis Duncan back. Whitley, I guess would like to take this one again. Once you make a fumble like that, you just want to grab the ball and get it again. It's probably the best medicine for the fumbleitis.
Well, it was obviously a freshman mistake. A type of thing that Coach Green realizes that this young athlete will grow to remember, but a costly one for the Wildcats. The one thing he can't afford to do now is, in an effort to make amends, try too hard and go out and make another one.
7-0 Iowa. Duncan fields it at the 5-yard line. He's across the 15 to the 20, the 25.
Number 82, Curtis Duncan.
Jay Norvell on the stop for the Hawkeyes. So Northwestern will take over 1st and 10 at their 25-yard line.
1st and 10 at the Wildcats' 25-yard line.
Tony Coates, the flanker for the Wildcats, has been sort of the big play man this year for them, although he has had trouble dropping the football at times.
Sandy Schwab.
Look to see Sandy Schwab take control of the Wildcat offense here. That's the one thing they have missed, the quarterback in control here. Here we see him going up to the line and audibilizing his first play from scrimmage.
Schwab will throw him first down. He's got Bumgarner. He's out across the 30 to the 34-yard line. Mark Bumgarner out of Morton, Illinois to split in.
Number 84, Mark Bumgarner.
There are the offensive backs, Sandy Schwab, the quarterback, Parsons, and Cummings in the backfield, along with Tony Coates, the flanker. Line, Bumgarner, Dudzinski, Zapia, Phil Leonard, Steve Hoffman, Jay Vanderberg, and Ralph Jackson, the tight end. Cummings, the single back in the backfield for the Wildcats. 2nd down and 1. Schwab will pass again, and knocked down by Mike Stoops. Make that Keith Hunter, the left corner. Keith Hunter with a nice play batting down Sandy Schwab's pass.
Broken up by number 14, Keith Hunter.
The defensive backs for Iowa, Kevin Spitzig, Larry Station, all Big Ten. Keith Hunter, Nate Creer, Mike Stoops, the strong safety. Devon Mitchell, the free safety. Hooks, Hufford, Drost, Strobel, and Little, the defensive line. 3rd down and 1. Ball at the 34-yard line. Tracy Parsons in. The give goes to Parsons, and Parsons is a hit short of first down yardage. Larry Station, the all-Big Ten linebacker out of Omaha, Nebraska, with the stop, and look for a big game from that man this week.
Larry Station just reacts to the ball so quickly. Here he goes untouched through the gap, comes up and makes the tackle. They actually lost 3 yards on that play.
You know, I haven't felt that Larry Station has really played as well as he's capable of so far this year.
I think he has. The thing we've seen is the resurgence of Kevin Spitzig. Both linebackers have combined to show a tandem that I don't think they're any better in the Big Ten.
Robert Smith is at his 28-yard line. The Hawks go for the football and just miss it. Ball is kicked out of bounds at about the 40-yard line. Make it the 41. So Iowa will have good field position as they take over close to midfield. Kim Sims with an excellent job that time of providing a little bit of interference on that kick. They almost blocked it.
It is. Sean Carpenter is a freshman punter, and perhaps he hasn't been put under test. I think Iowa is looking to test him today and send quite a few linemen in an effort to rattle him up, and I think they did it in that case.
Denny Green, the head coach at Northwestern, one of the younger head coaches in the country at 35 years old. 1st and 10 Iowa, the ball at the 41-yard line. Harmon and Gill in the backfield, in the eye. The pitch goes left to Harmon. He breaks it outside. He's got room. Harmon at the 50 and out of bounds at the 45-yard line. When Ronnie Harmon gets outside and turns that corner, brother, he is gone. Rodney Pate finally knocked him out of bounds at about the 45-yard line.
Ronnie Harmon flows so effortlessly here. Here he sees the inside clock, bounces it outside, and just smoothly outruns the Wildcat secondary there. There you see number 31 in an effort to trip him up. Just get a hand on him.
And another Iowa first down. This time the handoff goes up the middle to Owen Gill. He will get a couple. That tandem of Owen Gill and Ronnie Harmon just devastating last week. They combined for over 300 yards. Just something a little unusual for Iowa. They've been a passing team in the past.
The thing that made that play so unusual is the fact that last week, of the 313 yards gained, they were all gained by the 2 running backs themselves and Chuck Long. No other back carried the ball at all.
2nd down and 8. Long will pass. He's going across the middle to Harmon, down to the 20, the 15-yard line, and Chuck Long's shoulder looks like it has gotten well very quickly. Nice zip on that pass that time.
That was a great pass over the middle. Ronnie Harmon, and as an all-purpose runner, that includes running, kick returns, and receiving. Harmon, an excellent receiver his first 2 years at Iowa, catches this ball right in the middle of the Wildcat defense. Great play, excellent touch by Chuck Long.
Darren Morgan, the inside linebacker, finally made the stop on Harmon. So another first down for Iowa. 1st and 10 at the 15-yard line. Robert Smith is split wide right. Chuck Long checks off. He'll pass, kicks it out to Jonathan Hayes at about the 10-yard line. So a short pickup for the Hawkeyes. Jonathan Hayes, the tight end, out of South Fayette, Pennsylvania. Richard Myers and Charles Platt came up to make the stop and knock him out of bounds.
Gain of 7 yards on the play.
We find early Chuck Long is picking up the Wildcat defense and audibleizing here. In that case, he sent Jonathan Hayes in the flat area because he saw the secondary drop back deep.
Robert Smith checks out. Scott Helverson checks in at the flanker spot. 2nd down and 3. Chuck Long calls a timeout. The time on the clock down to 2 seconds. They would have been penalized. A smart play by Chuck Long to realize that and call a timeout.
Attention, Chicagoland.
So 9 minutes and 20 seconds left in the first quarter of play. The Iowa Hawkeyes lead Northwestern 7-0. We'll be back after these messages. The Hawks have it 2nd down and 3 at the 9-yard line. Helverson in motion left. Long will roll. He pitches outside to Harmon. Harmon gets it outside. He's going to score. Touchdown, Iowa. Yes.
Number 31, Ronnie Harmon, carries 9 yards for the Iowa touchdown.
Ronnie Harmon with his 2nd touchdown in this first quarter, a 9-yard romp, and again the Hawks on the board.
This is a play Iowa started working last week. It's an option play with Chuck Long. It's a new look for the Iowa offense. You don't suspect a quarterback to come down the line like that, and the defense folds in, leaving Harmon effortlessly to scamper into the end zone. That's his 2nd touchdown in less than 6 minutes. Looked like he's going to have another great game.
Tommy Nickel with the point after attempt. It's up and good, so Iowa takes the lead 14-0. Ronnie Harmon with a 9-yard run. Last week he had 3 touchdowns against Illinois. He could very well better that today.
He could very well better that this quarter.
Chuck Long's not starting out too badly either. He's 4 for 4 passing for 53 yards. There had been some talk that his shoulder was bothering him a little bit because he was only 7 for 14 against Illinois. The Hawks went to the running game in the second half, but those passes he threw there, I saw no indication of any soreness at all.
No, he showed no indication there throwing, and the one thing you can rest assured of, you wouldn't run a quarterback with a sore shoulder on an option play as they did on that scoring drive. So I think a lot of that could have been media propaganda this week. He looks to be in fine shape today.
Time of possession, 1 minute, 21 seconds, 5 plays. Finally, 9 yards. The 9-yard run by Ronnie Harmon capped the scoring drive. 14-0. The Hawks on the board, and this one could be getting out of hand very quickly.
Deep for Northwestern at number 4, Brett Whitley, and number 82,
Brett Whitley and Curtis Duncan will be deep for Northwestern. Tommy Nickel will kick off from his 40-yard line. So the Hawks strike twice very quickly. Northwestern already in the hole, 14-0. And it is Duncan at the 7-yard line. He breaks it across the 20. He's got room. Duncan at the 35, the 40, the 50. One man. Tommy Nickel finally runs him out of bounds at the 38-yard line. If Tommy Nickel doesn't get Duncan there, he is gone for the score.
By number 3, Tom Nickel.
Last week he ran back a return 99 yards against Wisconsin, so he has the potential to run it back and score.
Curtis Duncan here shows why he's one of the top sprinters in the Big Ten in track. He finds the opening here, follows his blocking, and then he just takes off. He did a smart thing there in switching the ball to his outside shoulder, and Tommy Nickel comes up and makes a great touchdown-saving tackle.
54-yard return. And we have a flag down. It could be too much time. Talk about a man that can run. Curtis Duncan out of Detroit, Michigan. Not a bad receiver either. So far this year he's caught 5 passes, 130 yards. Illegal procedure is the call against Northwestern. That'll back them up 5 yards. But Curtis Duncan, 5'11", 176. He's only a sophomore.
That's right. The thing that Coach Green has done is he's brought in some quality athletes. Now it's just a matter of getting them to blend and mix well as a team. Duncan provides great speed, as he showed you there on that play, and I think as soon as they can mesh him into their offense, they will have a big, explosive pass attack.
And I had said that run back was against Wisconsin. It was against Indiana, but nevertheless, 99 yards. You can't beat it. First and 15. And Schwab will throw again. This time the ball is tipped and almost picked off by Nate Creer that time. Schwab with the quick pass across the middle. Nate Creer out of Brooklyn, New York. The pass intended for Tony Coates.
Here we see Schwab take 3 steps in it and lift the ball in the air on a short route to Tony Coates. The problem with that is the offensive tackles are going to have to get the Iowa defenders' hands down. Strobel tipped that ball, and it could have easily been intercepted.
Parsons and Cummings in the backfield for the Wildcats. Schwab checks off. Second and 15. The Hawks are showing blitz. Here they come. Schwab's going for it all. He's got Coates. Overthrown. At the 8-yard line, Keith Hunter on the defense for the Hawks. That time Schwab doing a good job of checking off, seeing the Hawks were throwing the blitz. He had single-man coverage. He had Coates open.
Schwab is showing a lot of confidence in audibilizing into play like that. He saw the blitz coming, took a deep drop, and just let this ball go. Coates had a couple of steps on Hunter. The ball was just overthrown. That's a good play because the one thing it does is it keeps Iowa thinking. Now the defensive men will honor the Wildcats.
Mike Hooks comes
Pass
out.
offense a little better.
Sims comes in, that 5th defensive back. It's 3rd down and 15. And the short pass is kicked out to Cummings, and he's stopped at the 45-yard line. Keith Hunter, the left corner, came up to make the stop. And the Hawkeyes stop Northwestern. But almost early in the ball game, they were burned by this play.
The Iowa defense showing you it's hard. It bends, but it never breaks. It's coming up at 3rd and 15. Keith Hunter coming up and making a fine stop there.
Thought we were going to see that last play before that because he was wide open. Coates was open and would have had 7.
A good throw would have put 7 points on the board in that case.
Robert Smith is at his 10-yard line. And he angles it for the left corner. It bounces into the end zone. So the Hawkeyes will take over 1st and 10 at their 20-yard line.
Iowa takes over 1st and 10 at the Hawkeye 20-yard line.
Hawkeyes 2-2 overall coming into this ball game. 1-1 in the Big Ten, coming off that big win over Illinois last week, 21-16. Now the Wildcats 1-4 and 1-2 in the Big Ten. They lost to Wisconsin last week, 31-16. There you see Hayden Fry, the head coach of the Iowa Hawkeyes. He said it would be easy for his team to possibly look past this ball game today, but if you're a coach heading into a game like this, how do you get your team up for it, Keith?
The way they're going to get them up here is that they're going to play Chuck Long and this first-team unit as if this were the last game of the season. They're going all out here.
Play action pass to Gill. He's got Harmon across the middle at the 40-yard line. Ronnie Harmon with the first down for the Hawkeyes.
Ronnie Harmon, tackled by number 24, Kent Weeks.
Kent Weeks finally came up to make the stop on Harmon, but he picks up about 20 yards for the Hawks.
This is a play-action fake to Owen Gill. It faked our cameras out there. And they go back to the same play they threw on the last series of downs to Harmon right over the middle. As I said before, Iowa's going to come out here in this first quarter as if this game were life and death, because the thing they want to do is end it right here in the first quarter and allow them to substitute and get some game experience for some of their other players.
1st and 10, long rolls left. He's going to hold on to it. Chuck slides down at the 44-yard line. Good coverage in the defensive secondary for Northwestern that time. And with a sore shoulder that Chuck has had in the past, you hate to see him to run. Long, the 6'4", 204-pound junior out of Wheaton, Illinois.
And he used a patented baseball slide in that case to get underneath that tackle. You don't ever want your quarterback out there running open as he was in that case, and they teach him well to slide as they come to the point of contact.
Chuck Long brings his Hawkeyes up. It's 2nd and 5. J.C. Love Jordan is split right. The handoff goes to Harmon, and he's stopped at the 42-yard line. Jeff Custer made the hit. Pick up of about 2.
Loss of 2 yards on the play.
This is back to the Iowa's misdirection. They've been running this play well all season. In this case, the defensive end comes across and reads it and meets Harmon right in the backfield. Good defensive play.
Jeff Custer out of Lawton, Iowa, 6'4", 235 junior. Ted Karras comes out for Northwestern. Bob Dirks comes in at the nose guard spot. It'll be 3rd down and 8. Long's in trouble. Dumps it out to Harmon. Harmon drops it at the 46-yard line. Good pursuit that time by Keith Cruz and Bob Dirks out of that defensive line for Northwestern. So the Hawks will have to punt.
Ronnie Harmon at the bottom of your screen was so wide open, I think we saw Chuck Long in an effort here. He sees him wide open, and he throws the ball almost too easy. Ronnie Harmon, ready to run before he catches it, just simply drops the ball. You'll never find that happen between two finer players.
Brett Whitley is at his 12-yard line. Castrobala pops a high one. Fair catch called for at the 28-yard line. So Northwestern will take over 1st and 10 at their 28-yard line. And if you're the Wildcats, you've got to do something to establish a little bit of offense, don't you, Keith?
Sandy Schwab has come out here, audibleized, and taken the ball to the air fairly confidently. So I think the Wildcat offense is doing well. They were stopped on 2 occasions by the Iowa defense that just failed to move, but they've done surprisingly well.
Schwab 205 unofficially for 8 yards. And he will pass on 1st down. Gets it out to Parsons, Tracy Parsons, and about the 30-yard line, and he is gang tackled. Keith Hunter, the left corner, makes a stop along with Larry Station. Give him a gain of 2. It'll be 2nd down and 8.
2 yards on the play. Northwestern 2nd and 8 from the Wildcat.
They're looking to establish some type of control offense, and they're doing it through their short-range passes, a thing that Illinois did very well last week against Iowa. Schwab is trying to duplicate here.
Tony Coates is split wide left for the Wildcats. Schwab will roll left. And he's going to run with it. He's down to the 40. 43-yard line and a 1st down for the Wildcats. So far this year, Schwab has not run the ball that much, although he is a good sprint-out passer. And he picks up a 1st down. Devon Mitchell on the stop for the Hawks.
This is a good philosophy for the Wildcats. With the offensive line not being able to stack up against Iowa defensively, it's best to roll out. Here Schwab, seeing no one open, takes the ball, tucks it under, and gains the 1st down.
Schwab out of Piedmont, California. Been a little spotty this year. Had a great freshman year, but an off year last year. He can do it when he has to. Casey Cummings is single back for the Wildcats. Bumgarner in motion. Schwab will throw right to Coates. He's got him at the 50, down into Iowa territory at the 47-yard line, and possibly a 1st down for the Wildcats.
Sandy Schwab's pass is complete to number 2, Tony Coates.
Tony Coates, the referees are saying Tony Coates, if you see on the replay, his knee touches the ground right there. That's where they're going to mark the pass. You're taught as a receiver never to let your knee touch the ground because the officials, a smart official, is going to mark it from there. And that was the case here.
Casey Cummings checks out, and Claudel Robertson goes in. 2nd down and 6 for the Wildcats. Handoff goes inside to Parsons, and he's stacked up at the line of scrimmage. Jeff Drost along with Paul Hufford on the stop for the Hawkeyes. So far, that Iowa defense looking very good. There you see them. They much heralded early in the year, much maligned after Iowa State, but they came back and looked good against Illinois.
No, the Iowa defense has given up a lot of yards this year, but they've always been able to rise to the occasion, and in that case, the Wildcats are going to have a hard time trying to beat them up the middle.
3rd down and 5. Ralph Jackson in motion. Schwab will throw. He swings it out. Almost picked off by Mike Hooks. Mike Hooks, the defensive end out of Omaha, Nebraska, had his hands on it. That ball had 7 written all over it. Just couldn't hang on to it.
As a predetermined play, Schwab took his eyes off of his running back, and then when he turns back, Hooks is right in the throwing lane. And had Hooks been a better receiver in high school, he could have caught that one and gone all the way. This is the thing the Wildcats have got to avoid. They can't let the Iowa defense turn turnovers into easy scores for them, and that's what happened.
Sean Carpenter, the punter for the Wildcats. Robert Smith is at his 15-yard line. Mike Stoops at the 28. And Carpenter hits Smith at about the 13-yard line. He tries to get outside, still on his feet, and out of bounds at about the 16-yard line. Ellery Bennett finally knocked him out of bounds. So Robert Smith has the potential to burn them on that return. He's been averaging 25 yards on the kickoff return. So the Hawkeyes will take over.
I think Iowa is going to use Robert Smith a little more in this game. We haven't seen much of him since the first game in Iowa State. He had a great game that day, not only receiving the ball, but on his punts and kickoff returns as well. And Iowa's offense needs the explosiveness of Robert Smith. So look to see him more in the offense today.
Robert Smith has caught 3 passes so far this year for 110 yards. Here's the Iowa mascot, Hawkeyes, trying to get this almost partisan Iowa crowd up for this ball game. A lot of black and gold.
We've got an official injured there on the field. One of the dangers of this game is that the referees are out there with men almost double their weight. Looks like his knee there, and don't have a pad on to protect him. And I think that was the case there. He got run over by one of the Iowa defenders.
Well, I feel sorry for those camera people sometimes that are down on the sideline. I know I've been down there, and you've got one eye on that camera, and you're up close on what's going on, and all of a sudden, boom, those big eyes are on you, and you can get knocked down, lose your equipment real quick.
Oh, they do a good job. If you can see not only are they in danger, but the spotters and the field people that mark the first downs, you can see they're right at field level, and all it takes is a good sweep coming their way to make them drop those chains and take off toward the stands.
Chuck Long, 5 of 6 today, throwing for 74 yards. So he is starting out on a hot streak. Last week, only 7 of 14 in the NCAA stats so far. This year, Chuck Long is ranked 15th nationally in passing efficiency. Last year, he finished up 2nd in the nation, and he is 2nd in the Big Ten this year in passing efficiency.
The Big Ten continues to gain. I think we're going to have a cart come and take him off the field.
Now, are there usually standby officials if they have an injury like this, or will they have to go now with one less official?
There usually are. What you have is you have your normal referees, and then you have a field, a side, and a bag judge. So I think what you're going to see is one of the men from the sidelines will step up into, we don't know who the fallen referee is, but will step up in his place and take over.
It looks like he is up, though, so apparently maybe he has just injured a leg. Normally it's the players that you see down in the field, not the officials.
Well, this was one that he'll be able to write home about for a long time.
3 minutes, 55 seconds left in the first quarter. The Iowa Hawkeyes lead it 14-0. They scored quickly after a fumble on a kickoff by the Wildcats. Ronnie Harmon romped in from the 2-yard line. Iowa had a 7-0 lead. Then, also in the first quarter, Harmon, a 9-yard run, 14-0. Recognize that lady? I do. Miss America. Hi. How you doing? You think she knows she's on TV?
Oh.
Wonder if she's a Northwestern grad. I don't think so. I think she's from Salt Lake City, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, you watch all those pageants all the time, don't you, Keith?
Well, I view them. I thought she was here with you, huh?
Hey, you get me in trouble.
This has to be a first, a referee being escorted off the field in a cart.
You mean to tell me in all of your years, that was a long time ago when you played, though, wasn't it? What, 5 years ago?
Seen this.
You've never seen that
I've
before?
Never seen this.
If you don't know about Keith Chappelle's background, he was what were you? Wide receiver at Iowa? No, I'm just kidding. Keith was an All-American. I still say you could come back today yet, Keith. USFL is a proving ground for, past great wide receivers.
From the Hawkeye 18-yard line.
Okay, we're back to action. 1st and 10 for the Hawks. Chuck Long kicks it out to about the 30-yard line. Billy Happel with the reception. Kent Weeks makes the stop. Billy Happel out of Cedar Rapids, Washington. And he's been one of Chuck Long's favorite receivers this year.
In fact, he's been the top receiver on the Iowa squad. Iowa wasting no time going back to their pass offense. Chuck Long sets up and let this ball sail. There you see Happel catching the ball and turning into a running back, which he did a little bit at Washington. Turns that into a fine play.
Chuck Long, 6 of 7 for 88 yards. And it is 1st and 10 Iowa. Long will pass. He's got plenty of time. Gets it out wide open is Robert Smith at the 50-yard line, and he's got some room. Smith will go. He's at the 40, the 35. He's got a blocker. Robert Smith is doing a dance down to the 22-yard line. And talk about a man that's enjoyable to watch. The speedster out of Dallas, Texas. Picks up big yardage for the Hawkeyes.
23, Charles Plant.
He must have ran about 50 yards to pick up 25 that time.
This is the thing we said about Robert Smith. He's so explosive. Iowa has to get him back into their offense, and they're doing a good job today. Chuck Long lining up, finding him wide open, and watch him turn. Now, he catches this ball on the 50-yard line. And this is just moves and speed here. This you can't be taught. This is you're born with. Look at the man out there leading block for him. That's Ronnie Harmon.
1st and 10. Draw play. Goes to Gill. Gill down to the 21-yard line. Alex Moyer, the outside linebacker, made the stop, the 6'2 senior. He's made 38 straight starts for the Wildcats.
Iowa 2nd and 8 from the Northwestern 21-yard line.
If Iowa can get Robert Smith back into their offense on a more consistent basis, he provides one of the missing links. They've got a control receiver in Billy Happel. They've got a great quarterback, and they've got 2 excellent running backs. But what Robert Smith and Quentin Early both do is provide Iowa with good, solid, deep threats.
Harmon stacked up at the 22-yard line. So the Hawkeyes trying to go with it on the ground. Bob Dirks, the nose guard, made the stop.
For Iowa, tackled by number 56.
Northwestern does a good job of stacking this play up. As they hand the ball to Harmon, the Iowa middle, the Wildcat middle, there we see Dennis Green, but the Wildcat middle filled beautifully there in stopping Harmon Cole. That's what they're going to have to do, because Harmon, being the back he is, avoids the first tackle on most instances and will scamper through a defense.
3rd down and 8 for the Hawks. Billy Happel split wide right. Robert Smith comes across the middle. Chuck Long dumps it off. The intended receiver is Owen Gill. Long with some trouble that time. Alex Moyer came up out of that offensive outside linebacker position, put the pressure on him. He had to get rid of it quickly, so the Hawks will attempt a field goal.
There you see Hayden is not too happy with that play. He wanted to get that ball in the end zone. Moyer has had some great plays here in the first quarter, pressuring Iowa.
Number 3.
He's a direct result of that play being thrown incomplete.
Tommy Nickel will attempt a 31-yarder. So far this year, he's 4 of 7. His longest has been 41. He's kicked a 56-yarder in the past, so no doubt he's got the distance. The kick is up. And it is no good. He was kicking with a slight breeze, but it was no good. So the Wildcats will take over.
Wildcat defense did a great job of holding Iowa there after the long pass and run by Smith. It could have been easy to give enough points there going into the end of the first quarter. They did a great job of holding. There we see some Iowa alumni.
And there are a lot of them here today that made the trip up from Iowa City and parts thereof. 1st down and 10. Sandy Schwab, the quarterback for the Wildcats. The give goes to Tracy Parsons. Parsons up across the 25. Dave Strobel in on the stop for the Hawkeyes. There's some of the Hawkeye faithful that followed their Hawks here. Evanston,
2nd and 6 from the Wildcats.
pick up a 4. It'll be 2nd down and 6. 1 minute left to go in this first quarter. Iowa leads it 14-zip.
Here in Evanston, you look out in the crowd, and you can imagine more than half of the crowd are dressed in black and gold. There's a big contingency of Iowa alumni and fans here in the Illinois area, so Northwestern's a good game for all concerned.
Bumgarner in motion. Schwab will roll right. Complete to Mark Bumgarner, the split in out of Morton, Illinois.
To number 84,
Keith Hunter, the left corner for the Hawks, came up to make the hit.
Mark Bumgarner provides an interesting target. He's big and pretty agile for a big receiver. He catches the ball, comes up and makes a good low tackle, which is what you'd have to do on a receiver to that side, but he could be a threat in this Wildcat offense. They're going to have to go to him more.
Denny Green, the head coach at Northwestern. His career record here, 6-32. That might be bad, you think, but it's a lot better than they did the previous 3 years.
That's the end of the first quarter.
And the first quarter ends. After 15 minutes of play, the Iowa Hawkeyes lead the Northwestern Wildcats 14-0. Don't go away. We'll be right back with second quarter action.
Play resumes at Northwestern.
After one quarter, Iowa leads it 14-0. The Wildcats have it. 3rd down and 1. The ball on the 30-yard line. The give goes to Parsons inside, and he picks up about 5. Good enough for first down for the Wildcats. Tracy Parsons out of Urbana, Illinois.
Northwestern 1st and 10 from the Wildcats.
Tracy Parsons, the senior here. This is a straight off tackle play. Iowa had studded the line, and their offensive line of Northwestern did a good job of blocking out. There was a hole there. Tracy Parsons scored 3 touchdowns in Northwestern's 40-37 victory over Indiana 2 weeks ago, and they're going to need a big game from him in an effort to keep this Wildcat offense from keeping the Hawkeyes from just hauling out and going after Schwab.
1st and 10, Schwab will pass. The ball is knocked out of the receiver's hands. Good play by Keith Hunter that time. The pass intended for the split end, number 84, Mark Bumgardner. Good defensive play that time, knocking the ball away from Bumgardner by Hunter.
As I said before, Bumgardner is a big target. Keith Hunter is about the best hitter next to Stoops that they've got in that secondary, and he came up and put a pretty good lick on the Wildcat receiver to make him think about it, and you can best bet he'll be thinking about it the rest of the game.
2nd and 10. Bumgardner and Coates split wide for the Wildcats. Tracy Parsons in, along with Casey Cummings. Schwab will throw. Screen pass goes to Casey Cummings. He's across the 35 down to the 37-yard line. Jeff Drost, the nose guard for the Hawkeyes out of Indianola, Iowa, on the stop.
Jeff Drost.
Jeff Drost, after coming in for Hap Peterson, has done an excellent job at nose guard. He's one of those players that once you get your shot as a second teamer, he's trying to let Hayden know, hey, I should have been on the first unit all along. He's been playing excellent.
He's a little guy, isn't he? 6'4", 286.
Well, as little as you can be. 6'4", 280. As little as a house.
Northwestern calls timeout.
And the Wildcats will call a timeout. 13:59 left in the half. Iowa on top, 14-0.
Football action this afternoon in the Big Ten.
Why would you call a timeout at this point right now? There seems no reason for it.
Well, what Coach Green is doing is he's trying to get Schwab in a control state. They've done well throwing the ball. He wants to establish more than just a small throw, because the thing with that is it won't take long for the Iowa defense to take that away. It's important now that they develop some type of running game with Parsons and their other running backs to keep the Iowa defense honest. And that's why I think what he's discussing with Schwab now is a way to run an off-tackle play or a counter or something that they can follow up with their short-range passing game. They just can't come out and pass all day against an offense like Iowa, defense like Iowa.
There you see Dennis Green. You know, he is an Iowa grad. He was a starting tailback for him for 2 years, and was honorable mention all Big Ten, as a matter of fact. Not a bad ball player. Even played briefly for the British Columbian Lions of the Canadian Football League.
Well, Coach Green spent a lot of time out west, and out west what he developed was the passing philosophy of Walsh, and I think you're seeing in Mike White as well. He's got a pass-oriented team, a great quarterback in Schwab, but his program has not been able to catch up with the type of offense that he wants to run there, and that's what you're seeing here.
3rd and 8 for the Wildcats. And Schwab is taken down by George Little, a defensive tackle. Good play by that Iowa defensive line. George Little, 6'4", 250. One of the leaders of that Iowa defense.
Iowa just has too big a defensive front to allow them to key off on you. That's what we were saying before. And now on that play, he almost took Schwab's helmet off, and that's a disheartening thing to know. They're going to have to develop their offensive running attack to keep this ball game.
Loss of 9 on the play, so it'll be 4th down and 17. The Wildcats will punt. Robert Smith at his 35-yard line. Iowa will get good field position. They set up for the return. And a good punt. Robert Smith calls for a fair catch and his 30-yard line. So the Hawks will take over 1st and 10 with 70 yards to go, leading 14-0 over the Northwestern Wildcats.
Possession 1st and 10 at the Hawkeye 30-yard line.
Chuck Long so far today, a good first quarter passing, 7 of 9 passes for 133 yards. There you see some of the Northwestern faithful here today to root their Wildcats on.
Most of those yards passing by Long had been over the middle passes to Ronnie Harmon.
And the one big play to Robert Smith. 1st and 10 Iowa at their 30-yard line. And Long will pass on 1st down. And he's in trouble. Long taken down at the 12-yard line. Keith Cruz, the defensive tackle, All-American candidate this year, 2nd team All-Big Ten. And he takes Chuck Long down behind the line of scrimmage.
This is going to be a good battle all day. Keith Cruz, an All-American candidate, is being guarded there, and he just muscles past his man. Chuck Long, well noted for being able to scramble, couldn't get away from a guy that big.
And he wrestled down Chuck Long. Matter of fact, Keith Cruz was a wrestler 2 years ago, NCAA qualifier. Didn't wrestle last year, but he may this year. He's a big guy, 6'4", 264 pounds. So the Hawks have it, 2nd down in a bunch, 2nd down and 25. The handoff goes to Owen Gill. He twists and turns his way up to about the 20-yard line.
Number 33, Owen Gill.
Owen Gill didn't have a bad game last week either. 115 yards for him. So far the Hawks going on the ground a little bit more.
Owen Gill coming into this game only needed 238 yards to be Iowa's all-time leading rusher. The record held by Eddie Phillips of 21.77. He's a great running back. A very good one.
3rd down and 20. Ronnie Harmon, Owen Gill in the backfield for the Hawkeyes. Chuck Long again in trouble. And he is taken down again, fumbles, and recovers his own fumble. Jeff Custer, the outside linebacker with the pressure for the Wildcats, and Chuck Long goes down again. That can't help that shoulder.
That's a great surge by the Wildcat defense. There we see him just scrape. There you see Cruz. They're collapsing in. It's a great job by a 3-man front. Cruz, Karras, Newell, Moyer, they all applied pressure.
Gary Costabala will punt from his own end zone. And here come the Wildcats, almost blocked. And we have a flag down. It will be roughing the kicker, Gary Costabala. The Wildcats went after the block on that one. Costabala is still down in the end zone. And we will have a roughing the kicker call, I do believe. Brett Whitley.
This is going to be real costly for the Wildcats. They had a great defensive surge that time, allowing Iowa to kick deep from their own end zone, electing to go for the block punt. You had a man run right into Costabala, creating the flag.
And that's one thing you don't want to see in a game like this. Sure, it's Northwestern, and it would be easy for you to maybe relax a little bit, but you don't want to see those injuries to your key personnel like this man, Gary Costabala.
Well, here on the replay, you see he gets the ball. He takes a little time with it, allowing the Wildcats time to rush in. There you see number 25, which is David Dixon, an Inglewood graduate. Now, that's my hometown, running right into Costabala. He's up and walking off the field. They need that man. But more importantly for Iowa, that gives them a 1st down, where they were 4th and a long way to go. Now they've got 1st down and a chance to start it all over again.
Iowa 1st and 10 from the Hawkeye 21-yard line.
The Wildcat defense has done surprisingly well the last 2 series. See if they can keep it up.
Billy Happel is split wide left, Helverson wide right. 1st and 10 for the Hawks at the 21-yard line. Chuck Long had trouble getting the ball off the last couple of times. They'll stay on the ground this time. Ronnie Harmon can't get outside, taken down behind the line of scrimmage. Alex Moyer came up to make the hit out of that offensive outside linebacker spot. Moyer playing a good ball game so far today.
3 yards on the play. Iowa 2nd and 13 from the Hawkeye 18-yard line.
A loss of 3. It'll be 2nd down and 13. The ball at the Iowa 18-yard line. J.C. Love Jordan split wide right into the ball game for the Hawks. Happel is wide left. And the handoff goes to Harmon. Harmon knocked down at about the 23-yard line.
Number 31, Ronnie Harmon carries for Iowa. Tackled by number 80.
Darren Morgan along with Daryl Newell on the stop, but we have a flag down on the play.
The Wildcat defense are showing different looks every play. On that last play, you had Jeff Custer blitzing from his outside position, being picked up but allowing enough of a flow for the Wildcat defense to penetrate and tackle Harmon there. They're doing very, very well. And I think it's surprising, Chuck, at this point, because that was an audible that he called.
Looks like the call is going to go against the Hawks. Let's go down to the referee, see what it was. Looks like a clip against the Hawkeyes, but they will decline.
Loss of 1 yard on the play. Iowa third.
And Northwestern defense looking pretty good today, Keith Chappelle.
Looking very good. Coach Green came into the game saying that this was the best defensive unit he's had since he's been here at Northwestern, and they're showing it.
3rd down and 14. The pressure is on Long again. He's in the pocket. He's got Happel across the middle. Billy Happel out of Cedar Rapids, Washington, with the first down for the Hawkeyes. Chuck Long showed a lot of poise that time. Again, the Wildcats coming after him.
The Wildcats are leaving their secondary position wide open. Now, they came with the blitz again. It was picked up. Chuck Long stepped up in the pocket, and Happel makes an excellent catch here. His concentration on a low ball. Everyone thinks low balls are easy to catch. They're the most difficult because what you're trying to do is scoop that ball up off the ground and at the same time keep your balance.
Pitch goes to Harmon. He turns the corner, gets outside. Ronnie Harmon out to just about midfield.
Number 31, Ronnie Harmon carries for Iowa.
Jan Keith Gatewood, the right corner, finally made the hit on Ronnie Harmon, but not before he picks up another Iowa first down.
This has been a great play for Iowa all year. It's a basic sweep, allowing Harmon to dance and find the openings in the defense. He gets 2 great blocks there, one by Love Jordan, the other by Gill, and does a good piece of running himself.
The ball just shy of the 50-yard line. 1st and 10, Iowa. Owen Gill across midfield down to the 42-yard line. A pickup of about 8. Jan Keith Gatewood made the stop along with Alex Boyer for the Wildcats, but a pickup of 8 yards for the Hawkeyes.
With running backs like Iowa's got, that's what makes these misdirection plays so well. Owen Gill showing great balance and staying on his feet and continuing to run regardless of being hit. He just continues to bounce off and go. But the thing that makes the misdirection so valuable is the fact that you've got 2 running backs like Harmon and Gill, and they're keying Harmon, which allows that play to be wide open for Gill.
Gill, 5 rushes for 13 yards. This time the handoff goes to Harmon across the middle down to the 37-yard line.
Number 31, Ronnie Harmon.
Jeff Custer, the outside linebacker out of Lawton, Iowa, finally made the stop on Harmon. Ronnie Harmon, 2nd ranked nationally in all-purpose yards. He's ranked 17th in the country in rushing. Carried the ball 65 times heading into this ball game for 482 yards, a 7 yards per carry average. So far today, 11 carries for 44 yards. And it is 1st and 10, Iowa. Long will pass on 1st down, but a flag is down.
Flag on the play.
I think we might have too much time on the Hawkeyes.
And again, they don't get that ball off in time. That's one thing you have to watch. Chuck Long once today already had to call a timeout when the clock was winding down. That time he got caught short.
Well, this is what happened when you audibilize. The thing that the quarterback has to do is make sure that he's aware of his time situation, because you go to the line thinking one thing, and as you change it, in some cases it takes too long to call a play and get it off, and that's what happened there.
J.C. Love Jordan checks in for the Hawkeyes. Scott Helverson comes out.
Remember, this drive is the result of a penalty giving Iowa the ball back.
8 minutes left in the half. 1st and 15, the Hawkeyes. Long, plenty of time. Gets it out to Ronnie Harmon, and what appeared to be a late hit. No flags down on that play. Ronnie Harmon looked like he just wanted to take that ball and run with it before he caught it. Bob Dirks with the sort of late hit on the play.
Chuck Long is being hit. He's pretty hard himself here. As he lets this ball go, he's flattened by Alan Moyer. Ronnie Harmon, this is the second case, and here you see the late hit.
He looked like he tried to grab him a little bit and hold him. He knew that he was a little late on the stop after he had dropped the ball. So
I think he did. I think Harmon's having it hard to believe he's so wide open, and he's dropping a couple of passes here.
Second down and 15. Chuck Long, he's got Happel at the 25-yard line. Billy Happel with the reception. Kevin Brown rode him out of bounds, but not before he picked up a first down for the Hawkeyes.
Gain of 17 yards on the play.
Billy Happel comes from a football tradition at Iowa. His father played for one of the Rose Bowl teams for the Hawkeyes in the 50s.
A great football tradition and a great family. Happel himself has come on for Iowa and been one of their most consistent receivers. On that play, he never let Kevin Brown know when the ball was actually coming until it was right in his hands. Great play, great concentration.
First and 10, Iowa. Inside reverse goes to Robert Smith. Smith across the 20, down to the 18-yard line. Kevin Brown, the left corner, made the stop. Robert Smith picks up a couple going inside.
This is going to be good for Iowa to utilize a back like Robert Smith out of the backfield on a misdirection counter play. He skirts. You see his running back ability. Although he's small, he's able to use and elude blockers and tacklers, doing a great job. This is the most we've seen him play since the Iowa State game, and he's playing very, very well.
Second down and 1. Look for Chuck Long to go for it all here. And they will go for the first down, but Ronnie Harmon may get a few. Ronnie Harmon still on his feet at the 10, the 5. Look at that cutback. Touchdown, Iowa. What a beautiful piece of running by Ronnie Harmon.
Ronnie Harmon carries 17 yards for the Iowa touchdown.
Ronnie Harmon picks up touchdown number 3 on the day, and he looked like he was down, made a cut or two.
Well, you said Iowa had to go for it all on this play, and I think they did. Watch Ronnie Harmon. How many defenders does he elude here? There's 1. There's 2. He makes a cut here, an excellent move to elude this third one. And then he just dives in the extra way for a touchdown. Ronnie Harmon growing into one of the best backs in the country.
Tommy Nickel up with the extra point. It's good. So 7 minutes left in the half. Ronnie Harmon has scored 3 times. The Iowa Hawkeyes lead Northwestern by a score of 21-0. Stay with us. We'll be back with more after these messages. 21-0. The Hawkeyes lead it. That's the most points that Northwestern has given up this year in the first half. And the ball is down in the end zone by Curtis Duncan, so the Wildcats will take over first and 10 at their 21-yard line. And they need a couple of scores, Keith. They need a time of possession for the Hawkeyes, 3 minutes, 58 seconds. It took them 10 plays. They put together a long one that time, 79 yards. And once again, who else? Ronnie Harmon, a 17-yard run, his 3rd touchdown of the day. And we may have to check our record books to see how many touchdowns have been scored ever by one person in the game. Could be broken today. 21-0. The Hawkeyes lead it. 7 minutes left in the second quarter. The Wildcats have it. First and 10. Sandy Schwab, the quarterback, and he will throw, going for a bunch. He's got Coates overthrown. Tony Coates, the flanker, with single coverage on by Nate Career, overthrown by Schwab. But I'll tell you, he's got an arm. He can throw that ball.
Yeah, the problem with that is that you've got to realize where your receiver's at. He didn't even look at the receiver in that case and just let that ball fly. And Keith Hunter was the closest man to it. He sets up, he sees the receiver, and he just lets her go. Keith Hunter being the only man in anywhere near it to catch it, and that's a bad situation to have.
Second and 10. Schwab checks off. And he'll pass. Coates again. This time the ball is thrown wide and out of bounds. Nate Creer again on the coverage. Schwab saw something that time, checked off, thought he had something open, and it just isn't on target today.
Well, those are your basic precision and timing routes that receivers and quarterbacks should have worked well. He took his basic three-step drop and then let the ball go. The problem was Tony Coates had not made his break. And that just shows a little lack of mixing there. That's the one thing that Green wants his team to do, to mesh here, because irregardless of the score, they've got a long season in front of them, and they've got to learn to work well as a team.
There you see Sandy Schwab at the line. He's got a 3rd down and 10 facing him. Mark Bumgarner. And it looked like Hufford was pulled off sides that time. The pass incomplete, intended for Ralph Jackson.
Pass intended for number 87.
So the Wildcats will have to punt. Ralph Jackson, the intended receiver out of Atlanta, Georgia, never really had time to turn and catch it.
This was another audible lie. The thing here, their receiver down at the bottom of the screen, Kenny Duncan, didn't even hear the audible. He was waving back to Schwab, letting him know that he didn't catch the call. And that created a situation where when Jackson ran out into the flat, Keith Hunter was waiting right there for him.
Sean Carpenter, the punter, is in. He's at his 5-yard line. Robert Smith, the single setback for the Hawkeyes. And a good punt sends Smith back to his 25-yard line, backpedaling, and a whole bunch of purple meets him at the 25-yard line. So 6 minutes, 36 seconds left in the half. Iowa leads it 21-0. Dave Dixon made the stop on that man. Robert Smith, the speedster, out of Dallas, Texas.
Well, as I said before, that last drive of Iowa was the result of a roughing the punter call, and a good team will convert those bad calls into touchdowns, and Iowa did in that case. Robert Smith, remembering last year, he broke a punt return against Northwestern for a touchdown, and possibly looking forward to doing one here.
1st and 10 at the 26-yard line. Ronnie Harmon, good day so far, 4 carries for 67 yards. Long will pass, he's in trouble and down. Alex Moyer, the outside linebacker out of Edcorse, Maryland, on the stop, and we'll see it again.
Well, Alex Moyer is getting my vote for defensive player of this game. He just overpowers the Iowa offensive tackle there and tackles Chuck Long and then digs in an effort to pull the ball away. Chuck's having a discussion now with his offensive lineman about that.
Loss of 8. It'll be 2nd down and 18. That offensive line, one of the newcomers there, big number 73, the left side part of your screen. Herb Wester got his first start last week. He's a big one, 6'8" and 280. Long rolls right, kicks it out to Harmon. Harmon shakes one tackle, but is stopped at the 14-yard line again by Mr. Moyer, number 26, making the hit.
Number 31, Ronnie Harmon. Harmon tackled by number 26, Alex Moyer, and number 80, Dell Newell.
We're seeing Iowa air out some of their new plays. They sent Harmon in motion in that time and then swung the ball to him with a back swinging. Moyer comes up and trips him and makes a great stop. But Iowa has room now to try some of their new formations and see, because they've got a long final season prepared, and they've got to get their plays worked out, and that's what they're doing here.
3rd down and 21. Play action pass, Long, down again. And who else but number 26, Alex Moyer. That guy playing defense all by himself out there. They don't need anybody else. Alex Moyer doing just a whale of a job.
Alex Moyer is against Mike Height. Now, Mike Height is 6'3", 276. Moyer, on the other hand, is 6'2", 216.
Using that quickness, isn't he?
He's using his quickness and giving him a good stiff forearm on his way through.
And Castrobala will punt from his end zone. The ball taken by Brett Whitley down to the 40-yard line. Across the 40 to the 38. So the Wildcats will have good field position. One thing you like to see, though, is Castrobala back in there kicking that football after that last play where he was hit in his own end zone. So apparently he is okay.
It was more or less the same situation. He was caught pinned in against his inline on that punt there, and he got a good punt off. But it does bring up great field position for the Wildcats, and this is what Dennis Green wants. He wants to score here because this will put some confidence back into the Wildcat offense.
4 sacks of Chuck Long today for 39 yards. 1st and 10 Wildcat. Mark Bumgarner in motion. Schwab goes to Bumgarner across the middle. Tipped by George Little that time. The defensive tackle, Little, with one of those big paws, swats the pass down.
Although the Iowa defense doesn't have the defensive sacks, these are just as good. What they're doing is they're getting their hands up and preventing these short passes. That's taking away half of the Wildcat offense. To do these type of plays, the offensive line have got to shoot low in an effort to get the defensive players' hands down, and they're not doing it thus far.
Schwab, 6 of 15 for 21 yards. 2nd and 10. Handoff goes to Parsons. Parsons down across the 35-yard line. Hufford in on the stop along with Spitzig.
Number 37, Tracy.
That Iowa defensive front, that's the heart of their team.
Gain of 3 yards on the
Parsons
play.
takes this ball, has an opening,
3rd and 7 from the Iowa
although it closed very
35-yard
quickly
line.
on him.
And a 3rd down and 7 will face Northwestern. So far, they are just 1 of 6 on 3rd down conversions. Coates is split wide right. Bumgarner is left. And Brett Whitley lines up in the slot across the middle. Ralph Jackson with the reception. Jackson down to the 35-yard line. Mike Stoops, strong safety, came up to make the hit. But it is a 1st down for the Wildcats.
Credit Schwab for coming right back to the same pass that they knocked down on the first play of this series to Ralph Jackson. Stoops comes up and makes the hit, but it's much too late. This is a great position for the Wildcats to be in with 3:30 left on the clock. If they can score here, that puts them right back close into this game.
Parsons and Cummings in the backfield. Coates is split left. Schwab will roll left, and he's going to hold on to it. Down across the 25 to the 22-yard line.
17 is Sandy Schwab.
Larry Station, the all-Big Ten linebacker, made the stop. Sandy Schwab, one of the top passers in Northwestern history.
Gain of 3 yards on the play. Northwestern 2nd and
What was
7
it we
from the
quoted?
Iowa
82
33-yard line.
Wildcat records Schwab had?
82, 83. Once you set that many, who starts counting anymore? I mean, the guy's pretty good passer. 83, actually. 16 Big Ten records. 15 NCAA records. Ranks 10th in the Big Ten all-time passing list.
And he's just a junior, isn't he?
Yes, indeed. And he needs 7 for a 1st down here. 2nd down and 7. He's in trouble and down at the 34-yard line. Dave Strobel, along with George Little, in to make the hit on Schwab. And that time, the Hawkeyes were coming hard.
The defense just came right through the middle. Spitzig and Station coming up the middle. There you see him shooting the gaps, and Station just comes in and claps right on him, leaving him to be wrapped up by Strobel. Larry Station, we talked about him, a preseason All-American. We mentioned we hadn't heard much from him in the first couple of games this year.
But you were right. It was only because Kevin Spitzig has been playing so well at that other linebacker spot. But that is probably 2 of the best linebackers you'll see in the Big Ten.
You definitely will.
3rd down and 16. Halfback option this time. Devon Mitchell breaks it up. And it will be 4th down. Tony Coates, the intended receiver. Good play by Devon Mitchell, the free safety, to knock that ball down. Number 21.
Northwestern 4th and 16 from the Iowa 32-yard line.
Claudell Robertson in at the fullback spot. He could pass on that one. Rolled right. But good defense by the Hawkeyes. So 1 minute, 42 seconds left in the half. And the Wildcats will attempt a field goal.
John Duvik enters the Wildcat lineup.
John Duvik, so far this year, 8 of 11. His longest 49 yards. This one will be about a 50-yarder. It's up, and it's long enough, and it's good.
Duvik's 49-yard field goal attempt is good. Iowa 21.
So with 1 minute,
Northwestern
37
3.
seconds left in the half, the Wildcats get on the board. They trail Iowa 21-3. And that was a 39-yard hit by Duvik. So far, he is 9 of 12 on the year, a longest one 49 yards. That was against Illinois.
That's a great confidence builder for the Wildcats to come away from there deep in Iowa territory and get a score. The Wildcat defense has not played poorly here in holding Iowa to 21 points in this first half, but I can assure you we'll see Iowa attempt to go for more here with only 1 minute and 37 seconds left. They want to put more points on the board.
Last week, Duvick kicked 3 field goals against Wisconsin, so he has been consistent for them so far this season. Robert Smith and Ronnie Harmon are at their 3-yard line deep for the Hawkeyes.
If they want to avoid giving Iowa any opportunities, one of the worst things you can do here is letting Harmon or Smith get off a good return and putting Iowa in great field position.
And number 31, Ronnie Harmon.
Duvick will kick off, and he hits a low liner. It'll go to Robert Smith at his 3-yard line. He's across the 15, out to the 20. He's got room. Robert Smith at the 35, the 40, the 50. One man to beat. Smith cuts across midfield. He's going to go and trips. Robert Smith pounds the ground in disgust. He knew he had it that time. Tripped over his own feet at the 28-yard line. But an excellent return by the speedster from Texas.
You could have read this play coming like a book. We knew they couldn't kick it to him. They attempted to kick a squib kick, but it got to him anyway. And once he breaks the line of scrimmage here, you can see the running back. He picks his holes well, switches the ball like any good back will do, and instead of continuing to run here, he cuts his field. Now, he could have continued to run on that path and been run out of bounds, but he cut his field back, and now we're back to live action.
Chuck Long across the middle. He's got Quinn Early down to the 14-yard line. Quinn Early, the freshman out of Great Neck, New York, with the reception across the middle. And another first down for the Hawkeyes. And Sanderson, along with Charles Plant, on the stop.
We had tempers flare there at the end of the play. A Wildcat hit Owen Gill, and I think we're going to have a little yardage tacked onto that for a personal foul.
And the Wildcats pick up a little bit of momentum with that field goal, but the Hawks come right back.
Iowa has been able to do this time and time again, score in the latter half of the first half.
Gain on the pass play.
Any team scouting them would know well the one thing you don't want to do is allow them a scoring opportunity this late into the half, because it gives them all the momentum coming back in the third quarter. Hayden was well aware of it. He's got 2 of the best return men in the Big Ten in Ronnie Harmon and Robert Smith back deep, and they allowed Smith a hole, and he uses it. Had a personal foul there.
3 at the Northwestern 7-yard line.
Setting up Iowa on the Wildcat 7-yard line. Big play by Iowa. Great job.
Ronnie Harmon and Owen Gill line up in the eye for the Hawkeyes. Double tied in. Tim Sennett in motion. Long will roll, but he's got nothing. And he's stacked up and about the 6-yard line. Ellery Bennett, the outside linebacker out of Detroit, Michigan, number 36, racked up Chuck Smith at about the line of scrimmage. So with 45 seconds left, Iowa will take over, or have the ball still. 2nd down and 2.
As the clock continues to tick, I think Iowa will either go with an option play here or a rollout. They got Robert Smith into the ball game.
29 seconds. Robert Smith goes in motion. Chuck Long will roll left. He's got Flagg inside the end zone. Mike Flagg cannot get
Long's pass intended for number 86,
hold on to the ball, but that does stop the clock with 21 seconds left. And it will be 3rd and 2. Do you go for a first down here with 21 seconds left, or you just go for it all, Keith?
No, I'm pretty sure Hayden will go for it all here. If they come up short, they may end up kicking the field goal, but they want a touchdown out of the situation. The reason you go with the rollout is because it allows the quarterback so many other options. Rolling, he has receivers in the flat. He has the option of running the ball if possibly no one's open, but you just get a general better vantage point. And with a quarterback like Chuck Long able to read so well, that's one of the best plays they could call.
J.C. Love Jordan checks in. Robert Smith is out. There's Jordan in motion left. And Long will roll right this time. He goes to Jonathan Hayes, the tight end. and overthrown. Pass intended for Jonathan Hayes, number 34, the tight end, Scott Sanderson on the coverage for the Wildcats. So Iowa will have it 4th and 2.
Chuck's got to be disgusted with himself on that play because Jonathan Hayes was wide open. They came back with the same play that they had run prior to that with Mike Flagg. And this time it was a play-action fake with the roll, and Jonathan Hayes was wide open in the corner. Chuck just let it go a little too soon and overthrew him. But they're going for it on 4th down.
I don't see anybody in there to kick a field goal. The Hawks will go for it. 17 seconds left. They need 2 for a first down. 6-4 touchdown. Tim Sennett in motion. The handoff goes to Harmon. Harmon across the 5 down to the 4-yard line. He may have enough for the first down.
Number 31.
It will depend on the marking. 12 seconds left on the clock.
Number 70, Keith Cruz.
Keith Cruz, number 70, the defensive tackle on the stop.
I don't think he got it. This will be a big break for the Wildcats if they can stop Iowa here and go into half down 21-3. They're discussing the marking there.
What do they always say? If they mark it with their right foot, it's not enough. If they mark it with the left foot, it's good.
Officials timeout.
Is that what they say?
Well, I don't know who they is, but that's what I've heard. Officials timeout. We'll measure it. And it is not enough. So with 12 seconds left in the half, the Wildcats stop the Hawkeyes on 4th and 2. About the length of the football is what they come up short. And the Wildcats will take over 1st and 10 at their 5-yard line. So a little bit of momentum picked up by the Wildcats in stopping Iowa on that drive.
That's a great play by the Wildcat defense in stopping Iowa and going into half, down only 21-3. There you see Coach Green has to be happy with that. His Wildcat defense has played well in spurts here. Iowa's offense has played well. And they must have marked it with the left foot then.
Look for Schwab just to fall on this football.
Oh, of course.
And he does, so the clock winds
Number
down.
17 is Sandy Schwab, keeps the ball for the Wildcats. Gain of 1 yard on the play.
The Wildcats pick up a little bit of momentum. They stop the Hawks as they drive. They stop them at 4th and 2. So at the end of one half of play, the Iowa Hawkeyes lead Northwestern 21-3. Don't go away. We'll be back with second half action after these messages. There you see Tommy Nickel getting ready to kick off for the Hawkeyes to start this second quarter of action. Iowa leads it 21-3. Nice day for football today here at Evanston, Illinois. Dyke Stadium, about 60 degrees of 10 to 15 mile an hour wind. Just an enjoyable afternoon for football. Curtis Duncan and Brett Whitley deep for the Wildcats. The kick goes to Duncan in the end zone. He will not take it out. Northwestern will take over 1st and 10 at their 20-yard line. You know, one look at the stats from the first half, and the one thing that is outstanding is that Iowa, in total offense, ran up 230 yards. Northwestern only 39. And look at that first down. 14 for the Hawks, only 3 for Northwestern. Rushing, only 9 yards for the Wildcats. Credit the Iowa defense for that, Keith.
Yes, the Iowa defense has played fantastic ball that first half.
1st and 10, Northwestern at the 20-yard line. Cummings is a single setback. And Schwab will throw across the middle on 1st down. And incomplete.
The referees have had a bad day today.
Brett Whitley is incomplete.
This pass, as Schwab sets up, you'll see on the replay, hits the referee right in the knee. Now, any good referee...
2nd and 10 from the 20-yard line.
It's pretty symbolic of this game. Any good referee knows, but there's not too much that he can do about a play like that.
Hey, but the ref was wide open, wasn't he? 2nd and 10. Schwab in trouble. He's scrambling out of the pocket down to the 23-yard line. Larry Station on the hit for the Hawkeyes. Along with Mike
Tackle number
Books.
36, Larry Station, and number 77 is
Schwab, in
George
setting this
Little.
play up, is dropping back. Looks to go with the same play they did last play, but then sets up and starts running. Is stopped by Station and Little.
Schwab, 9 of 18 in the so far today, 7 of 16 in the first half. Chuck Long, 11 of 16 for 180 yards. It'll be 3rd down and 6 for the Wildcats. Whitley in motion. Schwab checks off, he'll roll and toss, and it is overthrown. A timing play to Tony Coates out left side. Keith Hunter was there. The pass thrown badly that time.
Northwestern 4th and
There
6.
again, Bob, that was an audible that Schwab called, and it was good audible. The Wildcat receivers, though, are having a hard time picking up the audibles at the far end. In that case, their receiver waved back to Schwab, stating that he didn't understand the play. Schwab yelled the play out and then continued to overthrow him. So they're having trouble with that. They'll have to correct that on the sideline if they're going to look to establish anything in the second half.
There's Robert Smith, rapid Robert Smith. He's back deep for the Hawks. Sean Carpenter with a low spiral. Robert Smith calls for a fair catch at his 36-yard line. The Hawkeyes will take over, leading this one 21-3 at their 36-yard line.
Takes over 1st and 10 at the Hawkeye 37-yard
In the first half,
line.
Ronnie Harmon caught 5 passes for 60 yards, 64 yards. Harmon, 13 carries for 63 yards, 3 TDs. Not a bad day's work in one half of football. 1st and 10, Iowa. At the 31, make it the 36-yard line. Gill and Harmon in the backfield for the Hawks. Happel and Robert Smith split wide. Long goes to Smith, incomplete at the 47-yard line. Robert Smith coming back on that route. Can't hold on to the ball. Charles Plant, the strong safety, was there on the coverage.
37-yard line.
Robert Smith's mad at himself. I think he thinks he should have caught that one.
Robert Smith, just a sophomore, has been a great punt returner for the Iowa Hawkeyes. He's attempting to become a more consistent receiver. This is the one thing that the Iowa want. They want to be able to set up and throw to him and create situations. That was a comeback route in which he just couldn't hang on.
2nd and 10. Draw play. Ronnie Harmon breaks it outside. Harmon down to the 45, the 48-yard line. Jan Keith Gatewood finally rode him out of bounds, along with Jim Torkelson, but not before Ronnie Harmon picks up a couple for the Hawks.
Ronnie Harmon, not knowing what he's going to do on any play, in some cases, I think, fakes himself out. He switches to the outside there, almost loses his balance, and has one of the most awesome straight arms I've ever seen. There you're seeing Gatewood taking that play in an effort to tackle him, more or less was tackled, and Ronnie fell on top of him.
Ronnie Harmon, the switch this year from the wideout to the backfield, and he has done it quite well. 1st and 10, Long in trouble and taken down by Darrell Newell, the defensive tackle. Darrell Newell rides Chuck Long to the ground along with the man who played the big D in the first half, Alex Moyer.
Alex Moyer, Keith Cruz coming from the right side, have put pressure on Iowa all day. Newell, in this case, wraps up. Mike Haight is having an awful time handling Moyer. It's a combination not only of quickness, but of Moyer just being able to outmuscle the bigger Iowa lineman.
And that's the 5th time today that Chuck Long has gone down. 2nd down and 21. Play action pass, and Long falls down. Looked like he had gotten rid of it. The referee will mark the ball down at the 27-yard line. Chuck Long backpedaling, just lost his balance.
What we're seeing is the Wildcats defense is really rattling Chuck here. In an effort to set up, in this case, he continued to backpedal more than usual. That wasn't a slip. The normal drop is 7 yards, and he went past 7 in that case, and it was kind of awkward for him, and he slipped and fell.
3rd down and 31. Billy Happel is into the ball game. Quinn Early checks out. Happel will line up wide right. Robert Smith is in the slot. 3rd down and a bunch. Handoff goes to Ronnie Harmon. Harmon breaks one across the 40, down to the 49-yard line. Ronnie Harmon
Number 31,
picks up
Ronnie Harmon,
18 yards on the carry. Still shy, though, of the first down. Charles Plant finally wrestled Ronnie Harmon down.
Iowa 4th and 9.
This is a back that can get a bunch back for you. They go with the straight counter, and watch Ronnie as he accelerates through the hole, breaking 2 tackles, always looking for an opening area, and finally being dragged down, in that case by Charles Plant.
Ball taken at the 15-yard line. And it is Brett Whitley down at the 16-yard line. The freshman that fumbled on the opening kickoff. That time returns at about 6. Zane Corbin on the stop for the Hawks. So Northwestern will take over 1st and 10 at their 16-yard line. And they trail this game 21-3.
As we saw Brent Whitley trot off the field, the one thing it's important for a punt returner is to not do so much dancing after he catches the ball. He's got to catch the ball and run. Although he's just a freshman, Brent will learn that as he comes about in this Big Ten.
Handoff goes up the middle to Parsons. Parsons picks up about 5.
Number 37, Tracy Parsons, carries for the Wildcats. Tackled by number 36, Larry Station.
And we have a new quarterback in the game for Northwestern. Mike Greenfield, 6'2", 185 pounds. He's just a freshman out of Elmwood Park, Illinois. So Schwab is out. Greenwood is in. Interesting development. 2nd down and 3. Baumgartner in motion. Handoff goes to Cummings. He's stacked up at the line of scrimmage. Paul Hufford in on the stop for the Hawks, along with George Little.
Number 64, Paul Hufford.
Mike Green, a freshman. Greenfield, a freshman. They're bringing him in an attempt to change the flow for the Wildcats. In many cases, a new quarterback, as we saw in Alan Espinoza of Iowa State earlier this year, can actually get a team on track. And that's what Dennis Green is hoping to do here with Greenfield.
3rd down and 6. Greenfield will roll. And he's going to tuck it under and run with it across the 20 and hit hard at the 24-yard line by George Little, the defensive tackle for the Hawkeyes. Welcome to the Big Ten.
George Little.
Greenfield on a rollout here, looking for his receiver. There's no one open. And being a freshman, he does typically what you think a freshman would do. He tucks and runs. You don't want to start running the ball here because you leave yourself open for the Iowa defense, which swarms. He's got to be able to roll out, find his receiver, and throw the football.
Robert Smith is at his 35-yard line. And a high booming kick. Smith calls for a fair catch at the 35. So the Hawkeyes will take over 1st and 10 at their 35-yard line. 9 minutes, 9 seconds left in this 3rd quarter of play. Iowa leads it 21-3. And interesting development, the new quarterback coming in, a freshman.
It is interesting because Sandy Schwab, being a veteran quarterback, although he didn't put the ball in the end zone, he moved the ball pretty well against Iowa. It is a surprise move this early into the 3rd quarter to go with a new quarterback.
1st and 10, Iowa. Ronnie Harmon across the 35 to the 38-yard line.
Number 31, Ronnie Harmon, carries for the Hawkeyes. Tackled by
Jim
number
Torkelson, number 56, the inside linebacker out of Flossmoor, Illinois, with the stop. And there is a Hawkeye down on the play.
38-yard line.
Looks like it might be Ronnie Harmon. And Ronnie Harmon down on one knee. You don't want to see that. It could be a knee or an ankle injury.
Well, they're not going to take any chances. Now with Ronnie Harmon.
So with 8 minutes, 50 seconds left to go in this 3rd quarter of play, Iowa leads it 21-3. We'll be back after this message. 2nd down and 7. The ball On the 38-yard line, Chuck Long will pass. He's got Billy Happel at the 48-yard down. First down, Iowa. Kevin Brown finally knocks him out of bounds. Billy Happel, Chuck Long's one of his favorite receivers, picks up first down yardage for Iowa.
There was obviously a miscue in the Wildcat secondary because the defensive player, there wasn't a man 20 yards from Billy Happel on that play. Credit good pursuit and covering after the ball was thrown, because when Chuck Long set up over there, there was no one near Billy Happel on that play.
Tim Sennett in the backfield now in place of Ronnie Harmon. Chuck Long, plenty of time. Across the middle to the tight end, Jonathan Hayes, to the 45-yard line. Alex Moyer finally dragged him down.
Jonathan Hayes, tackled by number 56.
So Ronnie Harmon is out with the potential knee injury. Hopefully not. Tim Sennett in the ball game
from the Northwestern 45-yard line.
As we look at Jonathan Hayes there, he's one of the biggest improvements in the Iowa offensive line. They lost a great one last year in Mike Hufford, but in Hayes they've got someone just as big and a lot faster.
Long, 13 of 18 for 197 yards. Second down and 4. Handoff goes to Gill. Owen Gill down to the 34-yard line. First down for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Kevin Brown, the left corner, finally made the stop, but not before the baby bull picks up a first down for the Hawks.
Owen Gill showing you what he does best. He picks his holes well and runs so well in the open area. That's a great job by the Wildcats in double teaming him on the tackle, because he hadn't been brought down all day by one person.
Owen Gill, 6 carries for 28 yards so far this afternoon. And Ronnie Harmon back in the backfield for the Hawks. You like to see that. First and 10. And the pitch goes left to Harmon. Harmon gets outside down to the 30-yard line. Initially tackled by Jan Keith Gatewood.
Ronnie Harmon carries for the Hawkeyes.
Finally brought down by Jim Torkelson. So Ronnie Harmon back into the ball game for the Hawkeyes.
4 yards on the play. Iowa 2nd and 6.
As we see Gatewood trot off the field, he must feel he's being picked on a little bit. That's the second straight arm in a row that Ronnie Harmon has thrown on him.
And a little different backfield look this time. Ronnie Harmon and number 17, Tim Sennett. Sennett in the backfield. Second down and 6. The ball at the 30-yard line of Northwestern. The handoff goes up the middle to Sennett. He's down to about the 25-yard line. And it may be enough for an Iowa first down.
57, Mike Whittick.
Mike Whittick, the inside linebacker out of North Valley Stream, New York, on the stop.
26-yard line.
And there's that crazy Wildcat. Not much for him to cheer about today. The Hawks lead it 21-3. 6:24 left in the third quarter. Iowa has it. 3rd and 3. Not enough for a first down before at the 26-yard line. And it will be short again. The handoff goes inside that time to Owen Gill. So the Hawks do not convert on 3rd down, and we may see Tommy Nickel.
Gill carries for the Hawkeyes.
Dennis Green's got to be happy with this interior of the Wildcat defense. Time and time again, they've held Iowa on 3rd down situations. Iowa will be going for this on this 4th down situation, but time and time again, they've been able to hold this Hawkeye offense, so he's got to be happy with that.
Ted Karras checks in at nose guard. Interestingly enough, his uncle, Alex Karras, played in the NFL for a number of years. 4th down and 2 for Iowa. Harmon and Gill in the backfield. The give goes to Harmon. Harmon, first down, Iowa. Across the 20, down to the 18-yard line. Scott Sanderson, the free safety, finally brought him down. First down, Iowa.
This play is run right off the left guard and left tackle. Harmon following his blocks well, just caroms through. We haven't talked about Bill Glass and Herb Wester. Wester, a freshman, got his first start last week and performed admirably. Hayden said he doesn't usually like to run over freshmen, but during the heat of the game, he forgot Herb was in there and was a freshman, and he played great.
1st and 10. Play action pass, swings it out right to Harmon. Harmon out in the flat, across the 20, down to the 18-yard line. Pickup of about 2. Alex Moyer again on the stop. Ronnie Harmon rather slow getting up that time. Last week he carried the ball 28 times.
No
And
gain
of
on the
course,
play.
this is only his third
Iowa
start at
second and
tailback.
10
Maybe
from
he gets a
the
little tired here,
Wildcat
though.
18-yard line.
Harmon does a better job of anybody of avoiding this first tackle. Watch this. Time and time again, the first person on the scene never can get a hold of Harmon. In this case, it was number 45, Darren Morgan, who had the first opportunity to catch Harmon behind the backfield for a possible loss.
Ronnie Harmon, 19 carries for 110 yards. Second down and 10 for the Hawks. Chuck Long will pass. He's going into the corner. And complete to J.C. Love Jordan down to the 9-yard line. And another first down for the Hawkeyes. Kent Weeks finally makes a stop on that man. J.C. Love Jordan, 5'10", 183 pounds, out of Robbins, Illinois.
This is a good play on J.C. Love's part. As Chuck Long sets up, J.C.'s in the corner. Now, he's wide open. It takes a while for the ball to get here, and he knows he's going to have to go up in the air and get hit. In that case, he was hit from behind by Kent Weeks, but he did a good job. J.C. is senior from Robbins, Illinois. This is a homecoming of sorts for him, and he wants to perform well.
Mike Flagg checks in. J.C. Love Jordan goes out. The Hawks will have it. First and goal at the 7-yard line. Owen Gill, Ronnie Harmon in the backfield, along with Tim Sennett. Sennett leads the sweep right. Harmon tries to break it outside across the 10, down to the 7-yard line. And gang tackled there by Kevin Brown, Charles Plant, and company. So they keep Ronnie Harmon from turning that corner.
Ronnie Harmon carries for Iowa. Tackled by number 21, Kevin Brown.
That may have been the first play all game that they've been able to keep him from turning the corner. He actually lost 2 yards on that play. The key there, and in any great back like Harmon is, you've got to be able to string it out with pursuit. One man can't stop him, and they did a good job of rallying the forces there and preventing him from turning the corner. Credit the cornerback there with the play of keeping that in.
Second and goal. The counter goes this time to Owen Gill, and Owen Gill is stopped outside of the 10-yard line. Darrell Newell in on the stop, along with Ellery Bennett. So the Wildcat defense stiffening up a little bit here, stopping the Hawkeyes on the ground.
2 plays. They've lost 2 yards on each of the series. There again, you see the Wildcat, and you see some Hawkeyes getting up rather slow. So the Wildcats are out here hitting them today.
Ronnie Harmon checks out. J.C. Love Jordan comes in.
Look for that.
Third and goal from the 11.
Look for that rollout we talked about.
He's looking in the corner. And incomplete. J.C. Love Jordan, the intended receiver, in the end zone. And Chuck Long took a hit that time as he got rid of the football.
This is a great play. They set this up with J.C. Love man-on-man on Kevin Brown. As he makes his break, Chuck Long lets the ball go. And that's a purely catchable ball.
Number 3, Tom Nickel.
J.C. will hear about that one back on the bench.
Tommy Nickel in to attempt the field goal. 21-yard attempt. It's certainly long enough, and it's good. So Tommy Nickel
is good.
with a 28-yard attempt. The Hawkeyes improve their lead to 24-3. 2 minutes and 10 seconds left here in the third quarter of play. So the Hawkeyes try to go for it on the ground that time. They are still sticking with that ground game, really not going to the air as much as we've seen them in the past.
No, they haven't. With Harmon and Gill both running well, they've run well. Credit Northwestern, as I said before, because they continue to hold Iowa out of there. There we see Greenfield talking with Green. The thing that Dennis Green has attempted to do with this Wildcat team is he's brought his program along slowly. The 2 major improvements he's done, the first one was he attempted to improve the weight program here at Northwestern. Not very automated when he first came. He instituted a strict weight training program, and it's proven to great benefits for the Wildcats. The second major thing he did was he attempted to start cross-country recruiting. If you look at this Wildcat team, they are pretty diverse. You've got 8 players from California, 7 from Michigan, 2 from Texas, 3 from New York, 4 from Georgia, and I think they've got 28 here from Illinois. So he's scounded the country in an effort to bring quality players here to Northwestern.
Curtis Duncan and Brett Whitley deep for Northwestern. And the ball is fielded at the goal line by Duncan. He's out to the 15, the 20, the 25, and stopped at the 26-yard line by Bruce Gear, number 94. The Wildcats will take over first and 10 at their 24-yard line, trailing the Hawkeyes 24-3.
Northwestern takes over first and 10 at the Wildcats' 25-yard line.
And again, the quarterback into the ball game for the Wildcats is number 14, Greenfield, the freshman out of Elmwood Park, Illinois. First and 10, Wildcats. Parsons and Cummings in the backfield for Northwestern. And Greenfield falls down. George Little comes over the top of him. Nice, polite little touch there.
George was just making sure he was down there.
Loss of 3 yards on the play.
These are just freshman mistakes you're seeing. Greenfield a little nervous, pulled away from center. Didn't quite have his footing where he wanted it and slipped and fell. I'm sure he'll look back and remember that one in his portrait of memoirs.
Denny Green letting the freshman quarterback get some experience. A loss of 3. Second down and 13. Greenfield back to pass. He goes across the middle and almost picked off by Devon Mitchell. Mark Bumgardner, the intended receiver, across the middle. The ball was tipped, and Devon Mitchell almost picked it off, and he would have been in.
This pass, I know he wished he could have taken back, because as he set up and threw it, he didn't get much on the ball at all, and it more or less floated over the middle. There were a couple of Hawkeye players in the area who had an attempt to intercept it, and it's a good break for Northwestern if they didn't.
Denny Green, the head coach of Northwestern. Big Ten Coach of the Year, 1982. Third down and 13. Greenfield in trouble. George Little coming after him, and he's scrambling. Still going out to the 20-yard line. Finally knocked down by Ken Sims, the left corner out of East St. Louis. Greenfield scrambling that time. Does not pick up enough yardage for the first down, so the Wildcats will be forced to punt.
If you watch this replay, Greenfield is just showing his inexperience. He rallies out of the pocket much too early, and he's not even looking at himself as a passer here. He's strictly a runner, and that allows the defense to key on him. Now, it's a good effort on his part, but the thing he's always got to do is remember he's the quarterback, and his first job is to throw the ball. And once he tucks that ball away, he loses the defense as a threat of doing that, and they can tee off on him.
Carpenter will kick from his 5-yard line. Robert Smith calls for a fair catch at about the 40-yard line. So a good high kick that time by the freshman Carpenter. And the Hawkeyes will take over first and 10 at the 39-yard line. But we have a flag down on the play. Could be a clip. And here's the call. Illegal use of the hands against the Wildcats. So the Hawks will pick up a few on that one. Iowa leads it 24-3. 28 seconds left in the third quarter. The Hawks got on the board in the first quarter. Ronnie Harmon on a 2-yard run, then Harmon again on a 9-yard run. That made it 14-0. Harmon again in the second quarter, a 21-0 Iowa after a 17-yard run. Now, Duvik hit a 39-yard field goal. That cut it to 21-3. Nickel came back in the third quarter with a 28-yard field goal. That's how we stand. 24-3, 28 seconds left in this third quarter. And Long will pass. And intercepted. Chuck Long is picked off by Ellery Bennett, the outside linebacker.
Intercepted by number 36, Ellery Bennett.
This is a great interception by Bennett. As Chuck Long sets up, he turns and fires this ball right into the waiting arms of Bennett. I think it surprised him so much. He had Happel there, but Bennett had slipped right into the passing lane. That's the problem when you have a linebacker who floats. Bennett floated through there. As Chuck Long initially set up, he knew Happel would be open, but as he turned to throw, he didn't see Bennett at all.
Matt Bennett had another good ball game last year against the Hawkeyes, if you remember. Casey Cummings, Tracy Parsons in the backfield for the Wildcats. They've got it at the 48-yard line of Iowa. Schwab rolls and will tuck it under and run with it. And he's down to the 46-yard line. Richard Pryor on the stop for the Hawks. Greenfield really not taking the time to set up. Now, is that his inexperience? Is that the Iowa defense?
No, this is inexperience. He's tucking the ball much too early. Any quarterback realizes that he's vital as a quarterback, not as a runner. They don't need him in there taking that ball and running with it. But that there again is showing his inexperience, and he's getting some good game time here today.
And that is the end of the third quarter of play. Iowa leads it 24-3. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this message.
Are now 9-1 this season and 2-0.
15 minutes left. The Northwestern Wildcats down 24-3. And a new quarterback has been running the show here in the second half. A freshman for the Wildcats, Mike Greenfield. And so far, he's made a few freshman mistakes.
He has, but Dennis Green, in planning for his future, his second-team quarterback, Richard Burton, Steve Burton, pardon me, is a fifth-year senior. And to show him now would not do the program well. So he's giving Greenfield some great game experience.
Draw play goes up the middle to Tracy Parsons. He punches it across midfield down to the 42-yard line. Parsons, the senior, out of Urbana, Illinois. Kevin Spitzig, the linebacker out of Ankeny, Iowa, on the stop for the Hawkeyes.
3rd and 4 from the Iowa 42-yard line.
Iowa really hasn't been able to do the type of substitutions they want simply because Northwestern has held the game pretty close. You'd expect them to be freewheeling their substitutions by now, but they haven't been able to.
3rd and 4. Tracy Parsons across the 40 may be enough for the first down. Depends on where they mark it.
Tracy Parsons carries for the Wildcats.
Parsons slowed by leg injuries throughout his career. Been fairly healthy this year. A steady back, not overly fast, but a good receiver. I guess you would call him a journeyman. Journeyman back.
A journeyman back.
A journeyman back. And he does not pick up enough for the first down, so it will be 4th and 1. Expect the Wildcats to go for it here.
Coach Green has seen a lot of new looks in the offense today. He's seen his quarterback, Sandy Schwab, come in and audibilize very well here in the first half. He just didn't put any points on the board. Now he's got Mike Greenfield on a 4th down situation.
And they make it. Tracy Parsons goes off left tackle, picks up first down yardage. The Wildcats bring it down to the 36-yard line.
This is what they need from Tracy Parsons. They need a good, tough running fullback, somebody that they can give the ball to in an effort to pick up those tough 2 and 3 yards. If they can do that, coupled with the passing tack that they do have, it'll balance out their offense. But as of yet, they've just had that run, that pass-oriented offense, which with no running game is nullified.
Bumgarner in motion. Greenfield will roll right. Paul Hufford almost picks him off. He's still going down to the 30-yard line. George Davis finally brings him down, but a good run by the freshman quarterback that time.
Number 14, Mike Greenfield keeps the ball.
Mike is showing great running ability here. You're going to see Paul Hufford come into your screen in an effort to chase him, and that'll get you moving a lot faster if you got a guy like Paul Hufford coming after you. He misses a tackle opportunity by Mike Stukes and actually picks up 5 good yards. We had Richard Pryor shaken up on that play, being escorted to the sideline.
There you go. Go Cubs. I'll bet there are 1 or 2 Cubs fans here this afternoon, wouldn't you say?
5 at the Iowa 30-yard line.
In Cubby country.
12:50 left in this 4th quarter. 2nd down and 5 for the Wildcats at the Iowa 30-yard line. Tracy Parsons, Casey Cummings in the backfield. Greenfield pulls back, doesn't have the football. Nobody else knew what he was doing either, but they must have called that one from the sidelines.
He looked at the referee as if to say, I was shifting.
Well, that's why you play the freshman quarterback, right? You get it out of your system. You get the kid some experience. Hopefully next year he may be the man for them, so they've got to give him some experience.
And Dennis Green is Coach Green is well aware of that. He knows that he's got a future. He's laying a foundation here, and Mike Greenfield is a big part of his future, and it's important that he does get the actual game experience. Yes, he's going to make a few mistakes, but all in all, he's run pretty well for a quarterback.
And he's in trouble again, and taken down at the 47-yard line. Possible fumble that time. Larry Station on the hit, and it is Iowa's ball. George Little recovers the fumble, and the Hawkeyes take over at the 47-yard line.
Iowa's bringing the whole front now because Greenfield hasn't shown any threat as a thrower, so that allows them to tee off. There you see Gear, Station. The ball is loose here. Greenfield turned around as if to say he thought it was dead, but the Iowa players recovered, and this is a big opportunity for Iowa.
Some of the Hawkeye faithful. 1st and 10 Iowa. Gill, Harmon in the backfield. Handoff goes to Ronnie Harmon. He stops at the line of scrimmage, picks up momentum, gets about 4 or 5. Jan Keith Gatewood in on the stop, along with Jim Torkelson. Ronnie Harmon picks up about 4. It'll be 2nd down and 6.
The Wildcat defenders are making a big mistake here and assuming the first time a man is touched that he's tackled. There you saw Harmon continue to move, but a lot of the Wildcat defenders were standing there motionless as if he was already down. With a back like Ronnie, you can't do that.
Billy Happel is split wide left. Robert Smith is in the slot. The pitch goes left to Harmon, reverses field. Ronnie Harmon gets a block from Chuck Long and is still going. Finally ridden down at the 48-yard line by Kent Weeks, the right cornerback. Chuck Long thought about throwing a block that time for Ronnie Harmon. He kind of said, well, that's my sore shoulder. I think I'll just let him go.
The two most surprised people in the stadium on that play were Chuck Long and Robert Smith, being caught on that side as Ronnie's only 2 blockers. In that case, they would have rather them just ran on out of bounds.
And Chuck, it was sort of like I'm going to get my shoulder into him a little bit, but not too hard.
Chuck gave him a shoulder shrug block. Robert Smith said, well, I'll stand in the way.
3rd down and 8. Long will pass. He's got trouble and taken down at the 40-yard line. Ted Karras, the nose guard, along with who else? Alex Moyer. Been calling his number all day long, but Chuck Long goes down for the 6th time today. That offensive line is not protecting him that well.
This is something that Iowa's got to be concerned about. Now, Ted Karras made the tackle, but there you see the man that made the play. That's Alex Moyer. He's done it all game long on pressuring from the outside, and you can best bet that the rest of Iowa's defenders, their opponents, will be looking at these films very well.
Good kick by Castrobala. Brett Whitley takes it, calls for a fair catch at his 13-yard line. So 10 minutes, 4 seconds left. The Hawkeyes on top 24-3. And yes, you do have to be concerned with that Iowa offensive line. You've got a freshman in there, and Herb Wester. Bill Glass has been injured and has had severe back sprains. Mark Sidlinger, of course, the sophomore. Kelly O'Brien and Mike Haight. So far today, Chuck Long has been sacked 6 times. 1st and 10, Northwestern at their mark at the 13-yard line. And again, the freshman quarterback is in. He will pass, sets up, and throws it wide. The intended receiver, Tony Coates. So it will be 2nd and 10, Northwestern. And that time, Denny Green probably telling his quarterback, hey, take the time, set up and look. Because so far, all he's done really is just scramble the whole time.
All he's done is, and the defense will react to that. You've got to have a quarterback that'll sit in the pocket. Now, Greenfield, being this his first playing opportunity, is new, and you can understand that, but he's going to have to realize that he's going to have to stand in that pocket and take some of the heat and get some of those throws off downfield in order to be effective here.
2nd down and 10. Handoff goes inside to Stanley Davenport. Davenport picks up a couple.
Stanley Davenport carries for the Wildcats.
So far today, 6 sacks on Chuck Long, a loss of 57 yards. And that is one thing that you don't want to see. Hayden Fry had talked last week about that offensive line coming around, and now he's got to be a little disappointed.
Well, the offensive line hasn't played well this game, but the majority of the pressures come from the right side of the field, and that's a great credit to Alex Moyer, who's caused most of the problems.
3rd and 11. And Greenfield still going with it. He gets it up to about the 16-yard line. Not enough, obviously, for the first down. George Little on the stop. It'll be 4th and 11, and the Wildcats will have to punt.
It's getting to the point now where Dennis Green is going to have to tell Mike Greenfield that if he wants to be a running back, we'll give you a running back number. But if you're going to be a quarterback, you're going to have to stand in there. Now, although there wasn't great protection, there was enough of a pocket there for him to stand in and point his receivers out. Here again, these are freshman mistakes you expect to be made, but Greenfield will have to correct them.
Sean Carpenter in his own end zone so far today, 8 punts, averaging 41.3 yards. And Robert Smith will call for a fair catch and catch it at his 42-yard line. The Hawkeyes will take over. 1st and 10, 8:34 left in the 4th quarter. Iowa leads it 24-3. We'll be back after these messages. Iowa takes over 1st and 10 at their 42-yard line. Chuck Long today, 14 of 22 for 208 yards. Ronnie Harmon with the handoff, picks up a couple across the 40-yard line. Darren Morgan, the inside linebacker, came up to meet him. Harmon, 23 carries for 109 yards today. Another pretty good day for Ronnie Harmon.
Yeah, pretty good day indeed. This makes the 3rd game in a row that Ronnie's carried the ball over 20 times in a game, and that's showing fine durability for a tailback. The one concern we had about Ronnie is that the switch from receiver to tailback, how durable would he be? And he's answering that question every week for Iowa.
A loss of 1 that time. It'll be 2nd and 11. Chuck Long will throw. And he's got Quinn Early overthrown at the 38-yard line. Jankeet Gatewood with the coverage for the Wildcats. Quinn Early, the intended receiver out of Great Neck, New York.
Quinn Early, we haven't talked about too much. Now, he's a freshman out of Great Neck, New York, but the thing that he has, he's a great, now you saw some leaping ability there, and although he couldn't get up and get that pass, he is the Iowa receiver that Hayden Fry, as well as Coach Snyder, is looking forward to in the future, to making a great contribution to this Hawkeye football team.
3rd and 11. Option play, pitch out to Harmon. Harmon across the 35, the 45, out of bounds at the 48-yard line. Charles Plant finally knocked Ronnie Harmon out of bounds. Not enough for the first down. And the Hawkeyes will have to punt. 7 minutes, 42 seconds left. Iowa on top, 24-3.
Iowa's run that option pretty well. The last 2 games, they opened it up with it at Ohio State, and they've used it very well with Chuck Long having the option of whether to keep the ball or pitch out. Now, in all honesty, he wants him to pitch that ball to Harmon and let Harmon do in the running, but he has the option there.
Castro-Bala from his 40-yard line, short kick, and they'll let it bounce. Finally taken by Whitley at the 16-yard line. He gets it across the 20, out to the 22. So the Wildcats will take over 1st and 10 at their 22-yard line.
And number 53, Mike Springer.
Brian Boland on the stop along with Springer.
At the Wildcats 23-yard line.
Pretty much a lackluster second half as far as the offensive shows go for both teams. Neither one of these ball clubs moving the football.
Well, Iowa, it's surprising to see Iowa not shifting and shuttling their second unit in on offense. The thing that has hurt them here is that traveling to Northwestern, they aren't able to bring all the reserves that they might like. On a travel unit, you can only carry 45 to 46 players. Iowa, that's basically your 2 deep, your punter, and your kicker. They would like to see some of their fine freshman running back get a chance to carry the ball, as well as their quarterback. They've got Kevin Harmon, Ronnie's brother, as well as Mark Vlasic, who we yet to see yet, and I'm sure we'll see before this game is over.
There you see Denny Green, the Northwestern head man.
Got to note, last year the game was 61-21. They gave up a lot of big plays. Last year there was over 713 yards total offense that Iowa accounted for, which was a Big Ten record.
1st and 10 Wildcats at the 22-yard line. Greenfield back to pass. He's in trouble and goes down. George Schuster in on the stop, along with John Vreese. So some of those second-teamers are indeed getting into the lineup now.
Greenfield is tackled attempting to pass by number 17.
Schuster out of Faribault, Minnesota. He's 6'4", 258, just a sophomore.
They get a good jump on the ball here. Greenfield eluding the first one, runs right into the other three, and that's a good job of pursuing by the defensive front. They're playing very, very well now.
2nd down and 20. Curtis Duncan is split wide left. Parsons and Cummings in the backfield. Straight drop for Greenfield. He's looking down the corner, and we could have an interference call. Yes. Zane Corbin with the coverage. Pass intended for Curtis Duncan, and it looks like we will have a interference call on the play. The ball was in the air, and there was some bumping going on.
This is what Greenfield needs to do. He needs, however uncomfortable he feels, he's got to let that ball go. What we don't see here at the bottom of your screen is that Zane Corbin has pushed Duncan out of bounds. We see him back in bounds. He had pushed him out of bounds, which isn't illegal, but after the ball is in the air, you can't make contact, and Zane didn't see the ball in the air, and that's where the pass interference call came from.
Zane Corbin really has not seen too much playing time this year either, has he?
He really hasn't. He's a great defensive back. He came to Iowa as a wide receiver and was a fine wide receiver, but he felt he'd see more action playing at Coach Brazier in the secondary, and he's a fine defensive back. The problem is that Iowa has such a strong secondary with so many skilled returning lettermen that it's been pretty rough for him to crack that starting lineup.
With the penalty, it's an automatic 1st down for the Wildcats. They are on the 28-yard line, 1st and 10. And Greenfield tosses across the middle, incomplete. Ralph Jackson, the intended receiver. Make that Curtis Duncan the intended receiver. He drops the football.
Curtis Duncan on this play just heard footsteps. He was wide open. The ball was perfectly thrown. Ken Sims was a couple of feet away from him, but as a receiver, that's the thing you dread, and those hurt the most.
So some of those second-teamers are getting into the ball game now for the Hawks. Zane Corbin, along with Joe Schuster. Eric Hedgeman in that secondary. 2nd and 10. 6 minutes, 30 seconds left. And here come the Hawks. Incomplete, and good pursuit that time by Eric Hedgeman, the linebacker out of Bridgeton, New Jersey.
Northwestern is 3rd and 10 from the Wildcats.
The second unit is picking up right where the first unit left off. They're coming after Greenfield, and he's going to have to realize that. Now, the thing you can't do, this was a screenplay, but he showed it too early. On a screenplay, you're supposed to let the defenders come in an effort to tackle you, to lure them further and further your way, and then dump the ball off.
And some of those second-teamers who maybe haven't seen a lot of action, they're coming into that ball game fresh now, and they want to prove something. So you got some guys that are charged up, going after that QB.
Oh, you can best believe they're out here playing for it all here.
3rd down and 10. And a hard hit that time by George Davis on Green. Green is down. The ball overthrown at the 40-yard line. Tony Coates, the intended receiver. And George Davis, the linebacker out of Des Moines, Dowling High School, put the big hit on Greenfield. Davis, 6'1", 220. Watch this shot Greenfield takes.
Mike Greenfield, just a freshman, catches this blindsided.
Boom.
The ball is irrelevant where it's at. He lifted it up. He took his helmet off, had the wind knocked out of him. Those shots are shots that you got to take as quarterbacks. They don't make them any easier. And it really makes the Wildcat offensive line feel bad to see their quarterback lying there on the ground and know that they were a big part of that.
And coming up next week for the Wildcats, they'll go to Ann Arbor to take on Michigan, while Iowa will have another test as they go to West Lafayette to play those Purdue Boilermakers. That Big Ten race is really shaping up into an interesting race.
You've got so many balanced teams now. You've got Ohio State that's a front runner. They're looking to be the team to beat now. But you've got Michigan, Iowa, Illinois, all there challenging. There we see Greenfield getting up.
Ohio State 2-0. They're tied for first with Michigan and Purdue. Illinois 2-1. Wisconsin and Iowa right now at 1-1 in the Big Ten. Northwestern right behind them at 1-2. So Northwestern perennially the doormat in the Big Ten, not in that cellar. Michigan State, Minnesota, and Indiana, all 0-2 so far. There you see the punter, the freshman, Sean Carpenter, averaging 35 yards a punt. And a nice high kick by Robert Smith will take it and let it bounce. And it is a Northwestern bounce down to the 15, the 14, 13-yard line. So an excellent kick by the freshman punter.
Sean Carpenter's punch rolls dead
With 6 minutes and 8 seconds left,
a 62
Northwestern trails 24-3, a long way back for them.
First and 10 at its own 11.
62-yard punt that time by the freshman kicker Sean Carpenter out of Emerson, New Jersey.
Illinois 3, Wisconsin.
Is that a Hawk fan, a Cub fan? What do you think?
With 10 minutes
Well, she's got,
looks like a lot of blue. Looks like a Cubby fan.
looks like a Cub.
Ohio State 17. A final score from Ann Arbor, Michigan State 19, Michigan 7.
Iowa takes over first and 10. Chuck Long still in the ball game for the Hawkeyes. Handoff goes inside. Owen Gill brings it across the 10 out to the 14-yard line. So Iowa staying with their ground attack.
This is surprising with less than 6 minutes left to still have Iowa with their entire first unit in. You got Owen Gill, Ronnie Harmon, Jonathan Hayes, Chuck Long still at quarterback. The fans are enjoying it.
And a good Iowa turnout today. As I look across Dyke Stadium, I see probably, I'd say 10,000 black and gold. 2nd and 6. The counter goes to Gill left. He's out to the 15-yard line. Jan Keith Gatewood with the stop, the right corner for the Wildcats. And it will be 3rd down for the Hawkeyes.
Owen Gill carries for the Hawkeyes. Tackled by number 56, Jim Torkelson.
Although this is going to be chalked up as a win for Iowa, the thing you can see that Coach Green has brought this Wildcat team around. Gone are the days of Northwestern coming in getting blown out. All their losses this year have been close scores. Illinois defeated them 24-16 in the opener, a game in which Northwestern went into halftime ahead.
3rd down and 5. Gill and Harmon in the backfield. Long will roll left. Across the middle of Jonathan Hayes, the tight end. Down to the 30, the 45-yard line. Ridden out of bounds finally by Kent Weeks. But Jonathan Hayes with the big catch for the Hawkeyes.
Jonathan Hayes is a great tight end. He provides not number one, a big target, and number two, a good running target. Watch him catch this ball right in his hands, as any good receiver will do, and continue to run. He keeps his balance and keeps going. A great tight end, just a junior. He'll be back next year.
One of the captains of this Iowa team out of South Fayette, Pennsylvania. 6'5", 245. He's a big one. 1st and 10, Iowa. Ronnie Harmon stopped at the 45-yard line.
Number 31, Ronnie
So the Hawks continue to eat up the clock. Jim Torkelson, the inside linebacker, made the stop. 4 minutes and 7 seconds left. And that clock becomes an ally for the Hawkeyes.
Hayden may be feeling that his first unit needs the work here. He's kept them on the field predominantly all game long, not choosing to shuttle his number one quarterback, Chuck Long. There were questions about his shoulder, And he's worked him out today pretty well.
But he has not thrown very often in this second half. That last pass to Hayes. The reverse this time to Robert Smith. Smith got one man down at 40, the 38-yard line. Finally brought down by Darren Moore, but Robert Smith picks up a first down for the Hawkeyes.
Boy, Robert Smith looks exciting. They sent him in motion one way and had him reverse back the field. Now there was a man standing right over here waiting for him, and watch the move he puts on it. Leaves him standing.
Pick up that guy's socks. They're back at the 48-yard line.
Completely still. That's Gatewood. He went by Gatewood so fast he didn't even see him.
Yeah, I think one of his shoes is still left down there. First and 10 Iowa, 3 minutes, 20 seconds left. They've got the ball at the 39-yard line. Chuck Long back, plenty of time to throw, kicks it out to Hayes. Hayes knocked out of bounds at the 31-yard line. A tough hit by Charles Plant, the strong safety, and Jonathan Hayes thought it was a little too hard. Well, you like to see that. At least they're playing hard.
Oh, they're still playing hard out here. This Wildcat team has hit Iowa today. Chuck Long looking, finding Hayes wide open here. Hayes takes the ball and continues to run upfield. Now watch this hit. It's a real good hit by Platt, but Hayes is letting him know it didn't hurt him any.
Jonathan Hayes coming into today's ball game, 8 receptions for 90 yards, averaging 11 yards every time he caught the football. And he's improved on that today. 2.5 minutes left. Iowa has it, 2nd and 2. Draw play goes to Harmon. Make that Gill. Gill still going down to the 9-yard line. The baby bull twists and turns for another Iowa first down. Finally brought down by Scott Sanderson, number 31.
This is where you see he gets the nickname the baby bull. As he starts to ramble here, he's running through Northwestern runners. There you see him avoiding 3 tackles and finally being brought down by number 31 for Northwestern. The Wildcats and the Hawkeyes are going at it here. We've only got 2 minutes left, but emotions are going pretty well.
Scott Helverson splits wide right. Quinn Early is left. The handoff goes to Harmon. Harmon turns the corner down to the 10, but stopped at the 8-yard line. Again, Scott Sanderson, the free safety on the stop. Ronnie Harmon a little slow getting up. He must be close to 30 carries again today, Keith.
He's played very, very well and consistently. The thing that Harmon has done is he's always been able to lose that initial tackler. I've never seen, he reminds me somewhat of Marcus Allen.
I thought you were going to say Keith Chappelle for a minute.
No, not Keith Chappelle. That's why Keith Chappelle is in the booth. He ran so well.
1:43 left. Yep. Iowa on top, 24-3.
Got a penalty on the field.
And it's going to be against the Hawks. And it's a pretty big one. 10 yards. See if we can get the call here.
Iowa is penalized 10 yards for holding.
A little bit of jersey grabbing that time by the Hawkeyes. They'll lose 10.
Your attention, please, will Richard Scribner. Richard Scribner.
As we said before, the thing about Ronnie is he avoids that first tackler so well. His speed is so deceptive. He'll start off tackle and then be around in before anyone can react to him.
Long will pass. He's got time across the middle again to Hayes. Hayes clotheslined and down at the 5-yard line. Jan Keith Gatewood finally brought him down, the big tight end out of South Fayette, Pennsylvania, with a big reception for the Hawkeyes.
Jonathan Hayes and a couple of these secondary men are going at it pretty good. Chuck Long, setting up here, has all day. Finally finds Hayes, and watch this tackle. Now that's Plattwood, the guy that he was arguing with a little while before, and he comes up and lets him know, well, we're still playing too.
Long, 17 of 26, 256 yards. He's looking across the middle. He's got Helverson. Touchdown, Iowa. Scott Helverson.
Chuck Long's pass is complete. The number 87, Scott Helverson, for 6 yards and the Iowa touchdown.
This is a play that Scott Halverson scored on a couple of times last year. It's just a simple slant pattern. He gets a step on the defensive player, and Chuck Long reads it perfectly. It's a great pass, a great pattern.
Hayden Fry gives Scott Helderson a little pat on the back. Helderson out of Des Moines East High School. Was a walk-on originally. Doing a good job now for the Hawkeyes. Tommy Nickel will attempt the extra point. It's up and it is good. So with just 42 seconds left, the Hawkeyes put this one in the bank. They lead Northwestern 31-3. Stay with us. We'll be back after this message.